put a table in the gardens or in universities.
Yes, but not really a centralized. Like, there's no place that everybody can come. Yeah, if you do the side of the community center that's near the face of
I just feel like university apartments always kind of gets left out when we do opinion tables.
yeah, they're just.
Yeah.
There you go.
So just that one day.
Yeah, there should be that one Wednesday, and I'm gonna try to fill it from Wednesday. I like to fill it from 8 to whenever, 8 to 3 hopefully. But the thing is, to do that, we're gonna have to pull people from other campuses. Yeah, 8 to 5, just in case somebody wants to travel. But they don't. Under no circumstances do we have to do it. It's just. So I'm gonna make an announcement up here and let everybody know what we're doing. Do you think the 9th okay? Is it pushing it too soon? The only reason I said the 9th is because we're getting into November and we have to wait. Do what?
Like a week from
Yeah, like a week from now.
Yeah.
Can you get both of them? One of the university apartments and for the record, you need some help with that.
I have no clue. I'm sure we'll send you.
All right. Yeah. Thank you all.
There was a little bit of that, and just before that, I first started last week. I was about to get ready, and one eye was shattered, and so I couldn't see. It took me a minute. Back up there. But yeah,
You ever managed to sign up for it before?
Yeah. No, and now I forgot to create the Facebook event.
Let's go.
Fun. I forgot he was coming. I have not even looked at the agenda. I've been just busy.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, you have the book coming up? I was like, what? Yeah.
Wait, what? No.
Apparently, maybe something about dining. I haven't looked at the agenda. Mentioned I haven't seen the agenda. Which I haven't actually even seen, really. So.
Okay. Please start finding your seats. Grab your clicker if you haven't done so. We're going to get started. Sorry for the late start. I just sent out an email with an updated agenda and a couple of new items for business that IA just voted on today. So take a look over that. We'll get started within about 3 minutes here.
getting where I took my shirt off.
Amanda. Whoa. This meeting of the 64th session will come to order. If Speaker Hathaway could call the opening roll.
Speaker Wilson.
Howdy.
Myself, howdy. Chair Bain.
Howdy.
Chair Smith.
Howdy.
Chair Barber.
Howdy.
Chair Nidegger. Chair McNutt.
Howdy.
Chair Harris.
Howdy.
Senator Cowser. Senator Galvin. Senator Branson.
Howdy.
Chair Thornburg. Senator Melton. Lasavica. Gonzalez. Riley. Robertson. S. Brown. Reeves. Keever. Strickland. Miller.
Howdy.
Senator Young.
Howdy.
Jim Carrot.
Howdy.
Bowen.
Howdy.
Spencer.
Howdy.
Canoe.
Howdy.
Mandry.
Howdy.
Saman. Chen. Hutchison. Casada. Pittman. Melendez. Tukes.
Howdy.
Moore Van Dyke. Nelson.
Howdy.
Altendorf.
Howdy.
Nadinger.
Howdy.
Kingsbury.
Howdy.
Jessup.
Howdy.
King. Morris. Kelly.
Howdy.
Hernandez. Sosa.
Howdy.
Barry.
Howdy.
Hernandez.
Howdy.
Hudson. Struble.
Howdy.
Markowski.
Howdy.
Bonner. T. Brown.
Howdy.
Tessaleja. Syriac. Esparza.
Howdy.
Gore. Keith. Hilton. Cleckley.
Howdy.
Masood.
Howdy.
Lawson. Moose. Murad. Davis.
Howdy.
Roberts.
Howdy.
Shuck. Hill. L. Sullivan. R. Sullivan. Van Dyne.
Howdy.
Briscoe.
Howdy.
Womack. Adams.
Howdy.
Penniman.
Howdy.
Thank you. And with that, I believe Cody Davis will lead us in the invocation and pledges.
Veterans Day comes up, I'm going to give the Veterans Day prayer. Dear Lord, today we honor our veterans, worthy men and women who gave their best when they were called upon to serve and protect their country. We pray that you bless them, Lord, for their unselfish service and the continual struggle to preserve our freedoms, our safety, and our country's heritage for all of us. Bless them abundantly for the hardships they faced, for the sacrifices they made, for their many different contributions to America's victories over tyranny and oppression. We respect them, we thank them, we honor them, we are proud of them, and we pray that you will watch over these special people and bless them with peace and happiness. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Speaker Hathaway can read our mission statement and core values.
The Texas A&M Student Senate core values are excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service.
With that, the chair has been made aware of 5 items for open forum. First up, we have Chair Thornburg, 2.5 minutes starting. Howdy.
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 So I have something really cool for you guys to come do tomorrow night at Bell's Pie House. We're having our first annual bingo night with Farmhouse Fraternity. And it's $5, so come out to our house from 6 to 8, play a little bingo, get a little food, hang out with some cool senators, because there's 4 of us in here. We're 85. And benefit the Brazos Valley Hospice Center. Yeah. And for all of you who don't know what hospice is, it's a care center for the terminally ill, and it's a big deal for us and for Farmhouse to be supporting that at this time. And we would love for all of our Senate friends to come out and hang out with us. Anything to say?
No, it's just 6 to 8, and $5 gets you all you can eat taco cabana and a bingo card.
They're cute games.
They're cute games, so it'll be fun.
So please come out, because we would really, really like support from some of the organizations that we're a part of. Thanks again.
Next up, Chair Barber.
Hi guys, howdy. Well, we have been voting. Who's voted? Raise your hand if you voted. God bless America and you guys. If you have not, I'm praying for you. In the meantime, I hope you all saw the email that Amanda forwarded out on behalf of Matt Cope and myself. Yeah, right here. I was going to actually talk about him since he's here. These signs, what we need is we need people to sign up at voting locations, to poll watch, as it were. So essentially what that entails is it's all here listed in the email. We have times, we have locations listed for you in the email. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be standing looking beautiful by a pole holding this sign to encourage people to vote no on Proposition 1. So like I said, the email's in your inbox. Guys, like we said, we need manpower on this. This may be the most important thing we deal with this year, so we need the manpower. Sign up online, fill in the Google Doc, and me and Matt will reward you happily. Talk to Matt about that later. Jacob.
Thank you. With that, next up is Chair Harris.
Well, howdy. Howdy. Well, it's the 3rd Wednesday in a row that we've been in here in Columbus. How many of you next Wednesday would like instead of being in here to be out there collecting opinion from students? Yeah. Well, November is our opinion month. We're going to be collecting opinion. First, we're going to target the residency areas. We're going to target Savisa, Duncan, University Apartments, North Side, South Side, the Rec, all those good places. We're going to target those first. So, the opinion tables will be up to that caucus to set up, but certainly it's up to everybody to man them. So, if University Apartments needs somebody else, we'll stick somebody else that doesn't necessarily live there. We'll stick them there. We need to man these opinion tables so we can get good ideas to bring back here. And the next week, that'll be on November 9th, we'll do that. The next Tuesday, hopefully we'll be doing the academic caucuses. So you guys have an extra week to get your stuff set up. I do need the caucuses to set their own tables up. It's a little bit of a headache to get that many individual tables lined up. So I'd like the caucuses to kind of take that on. If you want to do it a different day, that's fine. If the day works out better for y'all, that's wonderful. And so we're going to have these next 2 weeks, I hope to be getting some opinion, and I think that's it. So thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Senator Spencer, 2.5 minutes.
Howdy. Howdy. Okay, something very, very important. My roommate is looking for 2 sports passes for the University of Texas game. So if anybody, any classification has any sports passes, including you guys out there in cyberspace, I'm more than happy to put you in contact with him. Just email me. My email address is extremely simple. It is Senator Spencer, all one word, @gmail.com. You can also find me by going through the Senate website. Now, on a slightly less important note than football, I've been a senator for 7 meetings now of the Student Senate, and in those 7 meetings, every single one, somebody has come forth and said, let's suspend the bylaws. I'll admit, I'm guilty of this. One occasion, I get it. My bad. But quite frankly, it has gotten to the point now that it's a joke. What's the point of having rules if we're not going to follow them? We can just push them away whenever they become inconvenient. So, I just wanted to let you guys know that from here on out, regardless of how great an idea suspending the bylaws may be, suspending the bylaws will enable us to save puppies and kitties. I don't care. Out of principle, I'm voting against it. Furthermore, we've been trying to run out of here at 6:30 or at 10:30 every night. And quite frankly, last week, we could have finished all of our business. We could have actually gotten through the entire agenda. But instead, we decided to stop halfway, and so we never approved our minutes, and we didn't do a bunch of reports, and it would not have taken, actually it would have probably taken less time than the vote to dismiss. So, again, I will, from now on, be voting in opposition of any and all measures to dismiss. I'm happy with staying here till 2:30 in the morning, because quite frankly, the students elected us to come here. We knew what this was entailed. We should just, if you have something that is that important, just leave. Thank you.
Next up is Senator Pursuit.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Ditto. I absolutely and unequivocally agree, Senator Spencer, not only with the suspension of the rules, and I've done that myself. I've actually been informed by Senator Bowman that actually might violate Robert's Rules of Order. But also the motion to adjourn. I think that has been abused lately. Let me tell you why. I've been in Student Senate, I guess, since the beginning of time, as some would say. But in all the years that I've been affiliated with this organization, we've only adjourned through a motion twice. The first time was at 12:30 a.m. and we had finished all the business. Senator Proctor at the time, though, moved to adjourn just because it just was time to adjourn. And so we skipped the final roll call, etc. Never before have we had a motion to adjourn while I've been here before the meeting was over. So I am going to vote against that. I would strongly urge all of you to vote against that. On the second, related point, I absolutely think that we have got to get rid of this 10:30 eviction time limit thing that's been put on the Student Senate. I was in Student Senate as Speaker Pro Tem, as a Senator. We never had time limits put on us. I don't believe that there's any justification for them. If it's the building closes at 11, well, the building closed at 11 for every year I was in Student Senate. We never had a motion time limit. Whether it's efficiency in meetings, okay, but I think we're the ones that need to set those rules, not our advisors, not student activities, not Texas A&M University. We need to be able to conduct our business and to get everything done before we go home, and I think the students expect that. Two last things. I always like to come up here, 6430 update, where we're at with that. That's the constitutional amendment. We are reviewing it for a second time this week, going through it with a close red pen, looking at it very closely. We're going to have a few more amendments for the next RR meeting, so I encourage you to be there. If you have any concerns, again, contact me, Senator Fernandez, Senator Bowen, Sheriff Bain, and Senator Womack. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns with that, we don't want to see things coming up on the floor. And finally, come see me after the meeting if you're interested in helping me write a bill to shorten the length of our meetings, to make them more efficient, to reduce the time that we spend on legislation, open forum, etc. Just generally to cut those time limits. So I'm interested in looking at that, and I hope to have your help here.
Thank you. That concludes all of the items I've been made aware of for open forum. With that, we'll move into organizational forum. This is 5-minute presentations, beginning with Oliver Shen with COSGA.
Howdy. So the past 2 years, I've been involved with COSGA. It's some people have been in that before. It represents the Conference on Student Government Associations. What we do, we plan to hold a conference for student government associations all across the world. We bring in advisors from those schools, student body presidents, Senate members like yourself, and it's a 3-day conference we have in the spring. Now, what I'm here to talk about is we're taking up applications for COSGA hosts. Now, what COSGA hosts are, you just come in, help us run the conference and hang out with delegates, hang out with community members, and help us run the conference smoothly. Now, I know it's called host, but you don't have to actually house them in your house or anything. You're basically there just to help out. Now, I feel like COSGA directly correlates with Senate because these are senators that are coming. It's a great opportunity for you to share your ideas, share your problems, take in their solutions, what works for them at their schools, and utilize that for what we do here at Senate. So if you all have any more questions, let me know. You can go to cosga.tamu.edu, look up the application, and the date for turn-in is November 11th. It's probably going to be across the hallway there. Any questions? All right, thank you. Thanks again.
And with that, our other organization is Captain Nattinger with NRHH. I believe that's National Residence Honor Room.
Oh, honor, yeah.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so as you said, or howdy.
Howdy.
Besides being a senator, I'm also the president of NRHH, the National Residence Hall Honorary. And on November 11th, we are doing the 2 events for Veterans Day. One thing we're doing that I encourage y'all all to go out to Academic Plaza. We're working with Otis McGresham. I don't know if y'all know him. He's wonderful. And we will be reading off names from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., all the names of Aggies who have fallen in battle. So I encourage you to go out. There will also be information and things like that on Veterans Day. But what I really want to talk to you about is from 5 to 7 at Yogurtland, we're having a profit share. This will be on November 11th, and all of the money that we collect will go to the Warrior and Family Support Center. It's a support center in Texas, Fort Sam Houston, and it's a rehab center for veterans where their families can come so that they're not by themselves, they are with their families can see them. And so any money we collect is going to go to that. I encourage you all to go get yogurt. Let them know that you can say Veterans Day, you can say the Warrior Family Sports Center, you can say NRHH, they don't really care. And then all the money we get will be donated. So if you're friends with me on Facebook, I've already invited you to the event. If you want to be invited, friend me on Facebook. But I'll send out a reminder and let y'all know that November 11th, 5 to 7 at Yogurtland, profits go to the Warrior and Family Sports Center.
Thank you. That concludes the organizational forum. Now, if you would all please close your laptops out of respect. We're fortunate enough to host Regent Jim Schwartner from the Texas A&M University System.
Howdy. Howdy. Thank you, Speaker Wilson and President Pickering and Chief Justice Rowe. Thank you, and members of the Senate. Thank you for having me here tonight. It's a real honor. I talked to a lot of esteemed organizations, but I got to tell you, I sincerely mean this. This is the best. I'm here as a regent because the student body of the Texas A&M system, and I come to listen to you all. But before I listen to you, I want to tell you why I'm here and what a regent does. Texas A&M University system has 125,000 students. We have 11 universities, so we have 11 student senates. Most of the regents feel like our job is to represent you. Now, I don't want to tell the adults this, so fingers in your ears, but most of the regents feel like we're here for you, not for the adults. And we want to make sure that thank you very much. We want to make sure that we hear your concerns and hear your stories because you are the customers of Texas A&M University. We believe that what you have to say is awful darn important because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have a university. I tell some of the professors sometimes, Some of you act like if it wasn't for the students, this would be a heck of a place. So I really am here because I love you all, and I want to make sure that you tell me what your concerns are. Now, like I said, we have 11 universities that we go to. This is the biggest. We have a $3.2 billion budget that we manage. We have a lot of faculty members, a lot of employees, but the students are our concerns. Now, let me tell you why I'm so passionate about Texas A&M before I hear your concerns. My father was a class of 42 at Texas A&M. He was in the Corps of Cadets. And when the Vietnam War broke out in the 60s, my father was in the military, in the Seabees. I live in Austin, behind the Orange Curtain. And a lot of the T-SEPs over were burning flags and draft cards. And my father made sure that we didn't familiar ourselves with that. So we came over here almost every weekend to watch the Corps of Cadets march in. And he made sure that I understood the core values of Texas A&M and how important this place was and how many leaders we built. When it came time to go to college, I applied here, but because my grades weren't the best, I had to go to Texas Tech. Texas Tech's a great school. That's where I met my wife, and I don't regret it. But then my daughter, class of 08, came to Texas A&M, and I started reliving all these great memories that I have with my father, and I knew what a great institution this was. So the way a regent gets appointed is the governor of Texas appoints regents. That's my boss, the governor of Texas. That's the only boss I have. And he called me and said, Jim, I'd like you to be on the board of regents at Texas Tech. And I said, Governor, with all due respect, I want to be the fight in Texas A&M. And I told him the story, and he said, I've never had anybody turn me down before. Schwertner, are you sure? Yes, sir, I'm sure. He said, well, if you have that much passion, you're going to become a Texas A&M. So that's how I got here. And I'm very honored to be here, and I take my job very seriously. Now, contrary to what the press says, regents do not get paid. It's a voluntary position. We do it out of labor of love, and that's why I'm here tonight. I've tried to make this an annual event to come talk to the Senate, because you all are the heartbeat of the student body, and I know if you tell me something that's true and that you're hearing it on the streets, we can make a difference as regents. And we make a lot of adults mad, nervous when we come over here, because, you know, they really, some of them, not all, but some of them really get nervous when you all talk. Now, you have one of the greatest presidents since Earl Rutherford, President Bowen Hoffman. President Hoffman, I can tell you, does care what you think, and he is one of my mentors and one of my heroes. So that's a little bit about me and my job as a regent. Now, tell you briefly what's going on. As you know, we joined the SEC, which I'm very excited about. I think it's going to put us on a new plateau academically and also in sports. And Texas A&M, now we're going to let the whole world know how famous we are and what we've done is so great. So I wish I was your age right now starting Texas A&M, because this is the most exciting times this school has ever had. The second thing I'd like to talk about is our new chancellor. We have a new chancellor. The chancellor is in charge of all the universities. He hires the presidents of each university. The presidents work for the chancellor. So you got the governor, the regents, the chancellor, and then the presidents. Chancellor Sharp is really dynamic. I hope you get a chance to meet him. You'll see him on campus from time to time. He's a class of 72. He understands Texas A&M. He was in the Corps of Cadets with Governor Rick Perry. And this is really an exciting time to be here as a regent, because I tell you, we are drinking the Kool-Aid, and all of us really love Texas A&M. Now, there's one other thing before I address your questions. Do we have any veterans here? Thank you for your service. We want to make sure. First of all, without these young men and women defending our freedom, we couldn't be here tonight. Thank you so much for your service, because that's what A&M was built on, by young men and women going to combat and defending our freedom. We have more famous Aggies than any institution in the United States, so thank you very much for your service. Secondly, I want to talk briefly about the Corps of Cadets. The Corps of Cadets have made a big impression in my life because of my father and my daughter. Let me tell you a little story about my daughter so you'll understand why I'm so passionate about the Corps of Cadets. All the traditions that we have at Texas A&M stemmed from the Corps of Cadets. Now, I'm not recruiting the Corps of Cadets tonight. They're not paying me to do this. But if you haven't gone to step off one time, 3 hours or 2 hours before kickoff at the quad, you need to go one time and watch. And you'll understand how important all these traditions that you learned at Fish Camp, it came from these young men and women over here. It started a long time ago in 1876 with just 8 cadets. It's a big deal, you need to see it. Now, my daughter, why is that important? My daughter, when she was a fish, she was non-reg, and I had to take her over to step off, kicking and screaming one night. Daddy, I don't care about that. That's old school. I'm a non-reg. All I want to do is get a good education. I said, you're going to go one time or I'm going to quit paying your college. Long story short, she married the commander of Squadron 17. So, if you're a non-reg, I'm not trying to recruit you, but you need to go see the Corps of Cadets one time, watch them marching in, so you understand what a cool organization this is. Now, we all belong to a lot of cool organizations. I happen to think the Regents are a pretty cool organization, but I got to tell you, the Corps of Cadets is pretty cool. So now that I've talked and told you who I am and what my concerns are and what we're doing, I want you to tell me what your concerns are, and I want you to open up. And if any of the adults in this room don't like it, they need to leave right now, man. Tell me what's on your mind. That's what I'm here for.
All right, Senate, we're going to have, per our bylaws, this is a 5-minute Q&A, but any questions to extend are certainly in order. And Regent Schwertner has asked me to let you know that there are no holds on the questions, so anything that's on your mind.
Not at all.
So with that, the first question we have is Chair McNutt.
Yes, sir.
Howdy, Thomas McNutt, Student Services. I was wondering, can you kind of briefly update us on the 7 solutions and how that's being viewed right now, and the policy and the changing times of SMU or Texas A&M our efficiency?
We're refocusing the 7 solutions. We're not calling it that anymore because we found out that it was too polarizing and that we needed to listen more to some of the leaders in the system. You understand, Texas A&M University has completely different needs than, say, Texas A&M Corpus Christi. And so, because we're so focused sometimes, and we're guilty of this, focusing on you all, because you're 50% of the system, we found out that there were a lot of different concerns. But we are really focusing on trying to be more efficient and trying to give you the best quality of education for the dollar that we can. We had a meeting today with Regent Mendoza and all the presidents of the whole system, figuring out a way to measure and have metrics about, are we more efficient or are we just talking about it? And we want to make sure that you get the biggest bang for the buck. That's why you'll notice the Regents have frozen tuition for the last 2 years. We want to make sure that you and your parents are getting the best bang for the buck. We think that the education you're getting at Texas A&M is the best in the world, but we also want to make sure that it's efficient and you're not wasting your money. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next up, Senator Womack.
Hi, Mark Womack.
Howdy, sir.
Thank you for coming first off. It's always good to have a region here. My question is about budget restrictions and shared services. I know that was a big topic a couple of years ago, but I just wanted to see kind of what the region's perspective on the budget outlook for the next coming 2 years, and then again, if any more concerns are going to be addressed with shared services.
There are concerns with the budget because of the economy of the United States of America and also the economy in Texas. Texas has done better than most, but your parents are struggling, you're struggling as far as trying to make a living or getting educated. And so, because of the times we're in economically, we've got to be more efficient and roll up our sleeves. So we're focused on the budget all the time. Like I said, we have a $3.2 billion budget. We've cut the budget 15% the last 2 years, which is huge, but we can do even better. And we think there's going to be more cuts mandated by the state of Texas. And so we've got to get more efficient. But what we're trying to do is to make sure that we don't have an added burden and make you pay more. We're trying to make the system more efficient. And believe me, I'm convinced that we can do that. So this is one region that doesn't want to charge more. We don't leave with any other point tonight. Remember, this region does not want to charge more. We are charging plenty.
Next up is Senator Basu.
Howdy, sir. Cody Basu, off campus. Would you necessarily be opposed to granting the student senate some sort of binding say on the rates and allocations of non-academic student fees, like the student services?
I'd have to learn more about it. I don't have an opinion one way or the other, but I'm open to listening. I understand that's a concern of yours. I've heard that before. I don't know how dynamic that is, but absolutely. Now, one thing I will say, and I was telling President Pickering, we had lunch, supper a while ago, you all don't realize what a strong voice you really do have. And I would encourage you to do it soundly and smartly. But if you feel really strongly about something like that, as long as you have a unanimous consent, I would come up with a resolution like that. A good example, I believe, is when MSC was remodeled. That was a student initiative. Students have a lot of power and a lot of strength at Texas A&M University. And I can tell you, these adults listen. They act like they don't, but they're all going to want to know what you all had to say to me tonight when I go back across the street. So if that's what you want, I'll get an initiative going and try to get it done.
Thank you, sir.
Senator, we have about 40 seconds left. Do I see any motions? State your motion.
I need to extend the 10 minutes.
Motion moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are extended. Thank you. Senator Young.
Cole Young, College of Engineering.
Hi,
You
sir.
keep saying efficiency. What's the 3 things, 4 things, 5 things that you are doing to be more efficient than other schools within Texas?
We want professors to teach more. We want to utilize our buildings more. And we want to make sure that we give more access to classes for you all. My daughter had an experience where she had a hard time graduating in 4 years because there wasn't class availability. Well, that's not right. You're paying a lot of money. We're talking about trying to have a 4-year graduation rate and make sure that it's accelerated. Well, how can you do that if you have no course availability? So we get it, and that's why sometimes the adults get a little nervous when we start rattling the state regions, because again, we're here for you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. 3 follow-up, please.
Sure, you may.
If I don't answer your question precisely, I'm not a politician. You tell me.
Just to kind of touch on what you said, in my major, if we miss 1 semester, that actually puts us a year behind because they only offer classes in some semesters. So how can that relatively relate to me within maybe the next year or next 2 years to that actually becoming true?
Well, what I would do is give me a specific example and not give it straight to me, but go through either the speaker, the president, and President Pickering and I, and Speaker Wilson and I have had supper tonight talking about some of those things, about why is that. So I've instructed them to come up with specific line items of your concern, get them to me, and I'll find out why. I don't have the answer right now, but I am going to find the answer, and I will get it fixed for you.
Thank you.
Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Senator Davis.
Cody Davis, off campus. First, I want to say.
When you say off campus, what does that mean, sir?
Off campus caucus.
Okay.
Represent the students on campus.
Oh, maybe you were mad at me.
First, I'm going to say thank you. It's always nice this time of year when people remember our service. Myself and Cadet Sessions are here. We both served in the U.S. Air Force.
Yes, sir.
Secondly, this is just real quick. Right after you were given a quick 5-minute presentation about our Veterans Initiative, I was just hoping you'd stay and watch it.
I'll do it.
Thank you.
What is it going to be tonight?
It's right after you.
I'll do it, sir. Because I want to help the veterans here in Texas A&M University. But throughout the system. We have a lot of veterans throughout the system. And I can tell you that's some of the best mentors we have for the younger students and younger cadets. Think about this. You guys have had life's experiences that you can share with all of us, and we should listen. Also, President Pickering and Speaker Wilson and I were talking about the cadets, about the veterans, about maybe you should get credit for some of these courses that you've had life's experiences. Maybe you can teach some of these professors a few things. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair Barber.
Howdy, Chair Barber. Thank you so much again for coming and enjoyed everything so far. We keep hearing about how we want to, following Vision 2020 and getting Vision 2020. What would be, from not necessarily an outsider's point of view, but somebody looking down on the university, how would you
best suggest that students help in getting to Vision 2020 and creating that goal that we have for ourselves?
First of all, learn about Vision 2020 and read it, make sure you understand it. Secondly, tweak it. If there's something you don't like, change it. It's just a document. People talk to me about Vision 2020 think we poured some concrete on the sidewalk and you've got to walk around it. If you don't like something in Vision 2020, change it as a group. Things change. What happened 10 years ago or 5 years ago may be completely different. The world is round. It moves fast. And so some of the things in Vision 2020 may not be appropriate. I don't have any clue what I'm talking about there, but you do. I know about Vision 2020, but you may have some things you want to change. You need to speak up. Don't be shy. I tell all the students that are around me, we have students that work for us at the Board of Regents. I tell them it's a lot better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Without breaking the law.
Thank you, sir.
New senators, I encourage you to come up with questions too. Just catch my eye and I'll write you down to add to the list. With that, Chair Bang.
Chair Banks, always good to see you, Mr. Warner.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I was always kind of worried about with all the economy is the fact that A&M was allegedly involved inside of a Stafford's Ponzi scheme, and I just wanted to know if you have any information on that, or if that is the truth, or if that is, I know the core values here at Texas A&M, and maybe it was, I don't know if you can comment on that at all, or
I really don't know what you're talking about. I'd like to hear about it though.
Okay, I read it.
Offline, tell me what you're talking about, because if that's going on, I'm gonna find out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I read it in the Brian Eagle, so you never know what exactly will happen.
I don't know what you're talking about, but if that's going on, we're running off.
Okay, all right, well.
So, I need to know more.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Eggs don't lie, cheaters steal, and tolerate those that do.
Thank you, Senator Bowen.
Yes, sir.
Last year, we passed a bill, and then we renewed it this year about tuition set-asides. It's that program where 20% of our tuition gets put aside in a separate fund, and we never see it again. We get this wonderful little email every semester telling us how much of our tuition did not go toward our education, and was instead put aside for other people's scholarships, basically. So do you guys have anything in the works to either get rid of that or decrease it, or perhaps lower tuition by that amount and stop us from paying into that fund, because a lot of us never get to see
Well, I
that
have to tell you, I don't even know what you're talking about, so I'm gonna find out about that too. But if when you ask about that, do they not tell you what they're doing with the money?
No.
Nope.
All right, well, Jeff, we need to focus. 20%?
Yeah, our tuition bill, 20% of it gets put into a fund. It's a scholarship fund, and they don't really say where the scholarships go. It could be going.
Oh, scholarship fund, okay, all right, now I got it, okay. You want to know, okay, now I do know what you're talking about. I lost you there for a minute. Thought they had a slush fund of 20% somewhere. I got it. I know it goes to scholarships, but how it's appropriated, I don't know, but we'll find out. We'll get it back, you want me to get it back to President Pickering or Speaker Wilson?
Yeah.
Either one is fine.
Either one of us, but I mean, I know Scott speaking specifically about tuition set-asides, that bill we sent, it's a state issue as a whole. I mean, I believe that 20% goes back to the state to then decide how to.
Okay, so if it's a state issue, there's not a lot I can do about it, but I can sure find out for you where it's going.
I know it's based on needs-based.
Yeah.
It's a needs-based
So
scholarship.
you want to understand where your money's going, correct?
Exactly.
Got it, I don't blame you.
And
I'd like to
also,
know too.
if I can just provide enlightenment on Scott's question, that I believe the bills that we've passed have been requesting that at least that money stay on campus and not be sent elsewhere, because as we said, that gets sent to the state fund.
Okay. I don't know if legally we can do that, but I'll find out.
Right.
I can't help the legislature does.
Okay, does that answer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the clarity, Scott. I thought we had a slush fund on the side somewhere.
Senator Marisco.
Howdy, Tyler
Howdy,
Briscoe,
sir.
our campus. I grew up in Bryan, and I've noticed that this campus has been growing continuously for my whole life.
Right.
Like over 50,000 for the first time ever. I understand that tuition has been locked for the last couple of years, but is that being passed on by increasing enrollment? And is there concern that the school could ever become too big and in effect cheapen the value of a degree from this institution?
Well, I can tell you this region feels like we need to grow more. I don't know, there's mixed feelings between the Board of Regents and administrators. We have 32,000 students that apply to Texas A&M every year. We accept about 8,000 or 9,000. We, in my opinion, this is not the opinion of President Lofton or Provost Watson, he was, and I trust him, but we have a difference of opinion here, is that I don't think we utilize our buildings or professors like we should. Well, if we have 32,000 customers and we let 8,000 in, it seems to me we could figure out a way to let 10,000 more customers in, and that would generate another $100 million worth of revenue. So, can a school get too big? Yes. What's that number? I don't think we're there yet. And I think with distance learning and distance education, with the internet, we're going to grow our enrollment anyway. And you might see some of the students from time to time. The military has a great distance ed program. I'm sure you gentlemen and ladies have had some of that. My son-in-law got his master's degree online while he was over in UAE. So I think we can grow. It's just we have to work together to agree on how to do that. So yes, it can get too big, but you know what? There's another reason I want to grow. I think it is time for Texas A&M. I think we've got a lot more real estate than the University of Texas, and I think we need to be bigger than they are. Thank you.
Okay. Senate, another 40 seconds left, so we have another 4 on the list. Do I see any motions? State your motion.
I motion to extend Q&A by another 7 minutes.
7 minutes. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're extended by another 7 minutes. Thank you. Senator T. Brown.
Joe Brown, off campus. You touched on the Corps cadets. I was just wondering, what is your personal opinion on Greek life on campus?
I think Greek life's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Greek life at all. Matter of fact, I think the more student education we have, the better. My daughter belonged to Aggie Sisters for Christ, which is not a Greek life, but it's a good organization. But I think Greek life is fine. Is somebody giving you trouble about that?
Oh, no, just
okay.
Yeah.
We'll make sure they're not. I like to have a good time too, and you guys do a lot of good work. You guys do a lot of good work for the community, and I know that. So, no. Listen, Greek life is great. I think it's great. And you all do it responsibly, unlike the TCEPs over in Austin. I would agree with that.
Chairman Burke.
Appropriations Committee.
Howdy.
Howdy, and thank you for coming.
Yes, ma'am.
The University of Texas came out with a study about a month and a half ago regarding graduation rate, and we came behind them in every single category that they studied. Any ideas on what the system's planning on doing to increase our four-year graduation rate?
We have a task force of regents and all the presidents that are working on that as we speak. Today we had a 4-hour meeting on that specific subject. We flew in all the presidents of the whole system to talk about nothing but that. We're trying to figure out a way to graduate students quicker and more economically and still not sacrifice or dilute the quality of education that you get at Texas A&M or any of the universities in the system. So we are very focused on that because of the cost. It's not fair to you. But part of the problem is, if you want to graduate in 4 years and we don't have a class your last semester, that's not your fault. That's our fault. So, yes, ma'am. We're focused.
Senator Jim Garrick.
Howdy.
Howdy, sir.
My question is just a little very easy. Would you support a system-wide non-discrimination policy that's inclusive of sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression for all populations, students, staff, and faculty?
Karen Watson is one of my close friends, and I have no problem with that at all. I just want you to do it respectfully and make sure that you don't get in someone else's face, because everybody in this planet has a different opinion about a lot of different things. We have to respect each other, and we got to understand this is a very diverse population. So I have no problem with it at all. And I'm the biggest redneck you know. So I'm fine with that.
Chair Bain.
And really, truly, Karen Watson is one of my closest friends. I trust that lady a lot. Yes, sir.
Chair Bain, Rules and Regs, you mentioned a lot of real estate, and I was wondering when we were going to be starting to set aside some of our real estate for Texas A&M Law School.
Is the press here?
You are on camera, I'll mention that.
Mr. Presser?
You're on camera.
Italian.
Hey. You're hard on that.
Kidding.
Thank you.
Senator Roberts.
Nate Roberts, off campus. You mentioned it a little bit, but one concern I feel like students have with the growing online program is that in the future there could be students who don't even step foot into Texas, yet they can go to school full time at A&M and get their Aggie ring. And, it's something special to be here at A&M and experience happening and stuff. And so students are worried about that. I'm wondering if you could talk about that a little bit.
Let me make it real clear. I do not want anybody to get an Aggie ring, I have none, that didn't go to school here and that didn't spend most of their career. But everybody in this room has taken one online course. So you have to figure out a way to have a balance. I don't have a clue what that balance is, but I can tell you that if you need to graduate in 4 years and you don't have a class available on campus, it's quite fine with me if you take a class online. So no, I do not want students to get an Aggie ring and get their full degree and never have the Aggie experience, because you've diluted what Texas A&M is all about. So that's not what I'm saying at all. I am saying with the internet, with Skype, with all these other technologies, when you guys are clicking the vote, that we ought to be a little smarter. And by the way, if we do that, maybe we can lower your tuition even more.
Thank you. Senator Hutchinson.
Hi, Chair.
Howdy.
Annabelle Hutchinson, Freshman Caucus. I know that the university has been under some budget problems, but should students who are on need-based financial aid be worried in the future years? And also, I wanted to know your perspective on the increased interest rates on student loans.
What was the first part of your question?
Sorry. Need-based financial aid, should students be worried about budget cuts?
Well, yes and no. There's plenty, if you work hard enough, there's plenty of financial aid through private sectors also. So don't look at Fox News and CNN every night. You can find financial aid if you work hard enough. Secondly, the interest rates, we have no control over that. That's legislature. But let me tell you something. I'm glad you brought that up. You all are all going to be graduates pretty soon and get a job. Everybody talks to you about the unemployment rate is 9%, and everybody goes, oh my goodness, guess what? That means 91% of the people are working. 91% have a job. Nobody says that to you. Also, if you have a passion for a field that you want to be in, don't let somebody tell you that you can't get a job doing that. Let me give you a quick example. I have a bank. I'm also in the banking business. I'm a livestock broker. I had a young man come to me about 10 years ago in my bank that said, he just graduated from A&M, said, I want to be a teller, a loan officer at your bank. And I said, we have no job. He says, you don't understand. I want to be a loan officer at your bank. I said, sir, you don't understand. We have no job openings. He said, sir, you don't understand. I worked for free for you for 6 months so you can see what I'm made of. Think, well, free, I can understand that. In a year and a half, he ended up being one of my senior vice presidents. So if you, I'm not telling you to go to work for free always, but if you find your passion's music, or your passion's law, or your passion's engineering, and people telling you can't get a job, don't listen to that. You can get a job, ladies and gentlemen, if you want it bad enough. Now you may have to prove yourself at first, but if you have that fire in your belly, any employer that sees a fighting Texas Aggie that wants to work can get a job, trust me. So don't listen to all that garbage. And if a professor's telling you how hard it is out there, don't listen to that either. You get out there and knock them dead.
Thank you. 30 seconds, 2 questions. Stage question.
Motion to extend community by another
10 minutes, okay. It's seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Chair, that passes. We only have 2 questions left here. So, Senator Luce.
Senator Luce from the off-campus caucus.
Hi, sir.
I would say from the off-campus caucus, that way you don't sound like, doesn't sound like I'm trying to run you off campus.
No, sir.
So,
I'm just trying to get all the acronyms here.
all right.
All I know is fighting Texas Aggie, sir. So.
Now, as you mentioned the SEC earlier, and I'm just excited about our move to SEC as you are. I was wondering if you have any concerns about our move and how we as a university might be able to take some proactive steps.
I have no concern, zero concern. And let me tell you why. The Board of Regents didn't just pull out their gun and shoot it in the air and see what's happening. We did a lot of work. We did a lot of study. Bowen Lofton said this is a 100-year decision. I felt like we spent 100 years making the decision. We did a lot of research. We found out that the majority of current students and former students, by a high majority, this is what they wanted to do. People say, well, you did it because you're mad at Texas. Negative, Ghost Rider. We did it because we did it because it's time for Texas A&M to be on their own. And Texas A&M, we're going to have more exposure on the networks. We're going to let folks know who we are. We're not going to be a Texas university anymore. We're going to be a national, global university. We did this more about you all than we did sports. Sports just happened to be a caveat. We saw this as a way to make Texas A&M world renowned. So, do I lose sleep at night? Yeah, I'm so excited I can hardly wait till next year. Plus, if you're listening in Austin, howdy, because I live in Austin, I am having a lot of fun with the T-Ceps right now.
Sarah wants to be good.
Howdy, Molly wants to be a college of agriculture and life sciences.
Howdy. Are you on speaker from Orlando, Texas?
That's my uncle.
Okay, cool.
Throughout your presentation, there's been a lot of your responses that have included, that's legislation, that's not us. What are the Board of Regents doing in order to, I guess, work with the legislators in Austin to benefit the students and benefit the university?
That's a great question. That is a great question. We have people that are paid by the system and by the university to do nothing but lobby for Texas A&M and a separate group to lobby for the system. Stanton Calvert, who's been with us for a long time, has been lobbying for us. And we go to the presidents all go to the legislature every session with their lobbyists, or we call them governmental affairs relations, to talk about the needs of the students and the needs of the university. So we're preparing a year ahead of time to make sure our senators and representatives throughout the state of Texas and our congressmen and senators understand how important higher education is, but more importantly, why Texas A&M is where you should focus in the system and in school because of our core values, and we're not wasting your tax dollars. So, because of that, we are doing an excellent job. We probably have, of all the universities in Texas, and a lot in the United States, we probably have one of the best legislative initiatives of each school now. So we are really working on that way.
Okay, Chair Barman's last question.
That's withdrawn in the interest of time.
Okay, thank you. Seeing any further questions? Going once, going twice? All right, well, please thank the Regent.
Thank you very much. Don't be bashful. Come knock me over and say, hey, I saw you, and I got another question, okay? Because really and truly, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here for you all, not for the adults. They don't like me to say that, but my heart is with you all. So if you don't speak up, or if you don't talk to President Pickering or Speaker Wilson, it's your own fault, okay? So I want to help you, and all the Regents do. Giggle.
Thank you, Ted. Next up on our agenda is approval of the previous meeting's minutes. That would be the fee meeting. So seeing no objections, we will approve those by consent. Going once, going twice. Seeing no objections, the minutes are approved. State point.
Mr. Speaker, we did not approve the minutes for the 10-19 meeting at the fee meeting.
You are correct, and I have not found those. You did, and okay. Can we proceed with the meeting, and I will return to.
Withdrawn. Never said FYI.
Oh, then FYI. Thank you. We'll. Okay. All right. We'll send that out, send it, and we'll return to that to finish the approval of the minutes. So we've approved the previous meeting. We'll approve the previous meetings. With that, we go to a caucus update by Senator Cody Davis off campus. This will be, again, 10-minute presentation, 5-minute Q&A.
Mr. Speaker, I ask
for a unanimous consent to grant speaking privileges to Taylor Sessions during this presentation?
Any objections? Seeing none? Okay, privilege is granted. Okay. Oh, yeah, can we, yes, hold that.
Howdy.
Howdy.
All right, we have something really big we're going to try to do this year. My name is Cody Davis, in case I have only met half of y'all. But I'm a veteran. I'm a 7-year veteran with the United States Air Force. This is Taylor Sessions. He's a veteran with the U.S. Air Force also. And we kind of found each other because we both wanted to do this. And basically, what we noticed Texas A&M is doing, not doing, that sounds like it's a plot. What's happening is Texas A&M had this big push to bring in veterans, and now that we're here. But now that we're here, it's kind of like, now what? Because we face a lot of issues. Now, Taylor here knows more about this subject than I do, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to him. And it's going to be a quick introduction to the subject, and we're going to get to it.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Taylor Sessions. As he said earlier, I am a combat veteran of the U.S. Air Force. I actually just finished my tour in Iraq 4 days before school started this semester. So it's exciting for me to be back. As you can see, I was originally class of 2010, but thanks to the military, it's now class of 2014. But what we decided when we came here and we started to talk amongst veterans who come back from Iraq or Afghanistan was there was really a disconnect between their progression within the university, some of the issues they were having transitioning from military life to campus life, and what they were actually seeing the university do. So with that, we established the Veteran Activity Mission. Next slide, please. It's founded on Texas A&M Vision 2020. Imperative 3 specifically targets veterans. The two sentences I want to point out is continue to enhance the on-campus service offerings for the more than 1,200 students, both veterans and dependents. And the final sentence that says, we'll collaborate with the service members, Opportunity College Consortium, and local service agencies to maximize the service response to veterans' needs. Now, in order to do this, you kind of need to understand some of the issues that we as veterans face in this university. Next slide. And they can essentially be put into 3 categories: academic credits and progression. The biggest one I can think of is I've been trying to get into a particular college. I won't say just to save them, but I've been trying to get in for 4 years. The reason being I haven't gotten in is I've been called up almost every fall. It just comes with being in the Air Force. I've been called up, requirements change, I come back, I find out I can't get in again, I get thrown into a holding major. How do you expect me to graduate in 4 years if I can't get into the major that I want to get into? Treatment by faculty and students. I actually talked to a professor who told me that they couldn't approach me because they're afraid of what they call PTSD. And PTSD paranoia, I'm a veteran, stay away, I don't know how to approach you, that kind of thing.
I want his name, sir.
Yes, sir. Also transition from military to campus life. Now that's one of the hardest things that we deal with. Most have families, they deal with kids, you know, moving their wife. That's hard stuff to deal with, and those are some of the other issues that, you know, you have a 38-year-old veteran with 3 kids and a wife. He's moving from Germany to the United States, back to Texas to come to college. Where's the support for them? Next slide, please. So when I approached the veterans, I said, okay, these are the issues. What are your thoughts and ideas to fix them? Well, the first thing we noticed is we don't have a veteran program office. We have a financial aid office, but there is no established veteran program office to assist with this. Other things, obtaining credits for our military education and service. It's kind of funny to us that I lived in Iraq. I walked amongst their streets. I spoke their language. I interacted with them. I can't get international cultural and diversity credits for this. That's kind of funny. Veteran Tags on the Student Database. We learned that international students, foreign exchange students, have something similar to this. Why couldn't we have something that identifies us as this in order to show us, hey, maybe not more treatment, but different treatment? Veteran academic advisors, someone to assist us with getting into classes, figuring out where we are academically, rather than sticking me into accounting, I don't know, 309 when I haven't taken accounting 209 since 2006. It's a 5-year difference. Refresher sessions, veteran-only sessions, again, it goes back to knowing where we are academically as veterans and our ability to go through it. And then faculty and student outreach programs to bridge the gap between the veteran and then the actual advisors, the faculty, and the student population. Next slide. So what we're seeing is the support for this comes essentially from Texas A&M Vision 2020. It accomplishes imperative 3 to support the veterans, to realize that this is a unique group of students and the support here can accomplish this vision. The service members, opportunity colleges, A&M just doesn't become military friendly. This is a designation that is awarded by this consortium, and if they come in and review that veterans are having these issues, lack of transfer of credit, lack of ability to transition from military life to campus life, they can look at the university and strip that title from the university. And then also, A&M actually currently is behind some other colleges. Texas has a sponsor a veteran program where scholarships, they have the students show them around town, the campus, where to go. Texas Tech has a labeled faculty list of veterans-friendly advisors and teachers that they can go to talk to get help with. And then even the University of Houston has their own area where veterans can chill out and be with their families and have a place to study and a place to work from. Next slide, please. So we need volunteers. We need the help to reach out to the veterans, to help the student veteran population to address these issues and address these needs. And we need you to realize that this is a unique group of students. We do kind of need assistance, even though we're trained as veterans to deal with our own problems and address them on a one-on-one issue, and we need your help. Next slide.
Go ahead. Any other questions?
Go ahead.
Right now, I've talked to Thomas, Cody, Kyle, Brody, and basically seen if this would get momentous support. And from my understanding of all the emails I've gotten I'm understanding a lot of y'all are going to want to jump on board with this. Now, this is a very huge thing, and this is just the start of it. The outlines and the programs have started, and what we really need is a team. We need people to come together. We need to sit down and figure out how to do all this because it's so huge. And with that,
sure. With that, move to 5 minutes question and answer. Starting with Chair Barber.
Howdy guys, Stu Barber, and I'm officer the community relations chair as it were. Thank you so much for your presentation. Fantastic stuff, and Mr. Davis, for the record, I want to be on that team when it occurs. But I see we don't have a disconnect, but we have a difference here between Deltaco and the non-reg lifestyle. What do you think your retention rate is with veterans coming in? How many of you guys go to Deltaco and how many of you guys go to the non-reg TAP? And then, if that's the case, how much of this do you think will be integrated in the Corps Cadets?
I can tell you right now, there are only 18 prior service members in the Corps of Cadets, and the majority of us, with the exception of maybe 3, are there only because it's a requirement for ROTC to get your commission. Most will go non-reg life. They're done with the military, they're out. Thanks, guys. 7 years. What do you want? I'm working. So, with the Corps of Cadets, essentially the only really veterans you're going to reach are the ones that are trying to go from enlisted to officer. You hear about the Army Green and Gold program, the Air Force Crossing the Blue. Those are the veterans that the Corps of Cadets really targets.
Thank you.
Senator Massoud.
Howdy, Cody Massoud off campus. Great presentation as well. If you need anything, I'm on board, I'm game. But quick question, would you think that a cabinet position on Jeff's cabinet or a commission created in SGA would be a good thing to do to kind of harness this and move forward with it?
Well, I don't know. This is my first year. I don't know that. That's part of, after all this is said and done, if y'all want to be a part of this, I encourage y'all to contact me, and we're going to do this this next week. We're all going to sit down, and that's part of one of the things I want to talk about. I don't know which one would be better. One of the things that the veterans do want is the person advocating for this, we feel that it needs to be a veteran. I wouldn't say it's not enough, but it's almost like it isn't enough. It just comes from a regular student. It needs to be from someone who's walked through those shoes. And so, as long as we can create something where that person, that head, can be the person with the power of the student body to do it, that's ultimately what we want.
Thank you. Senator Morris.
Howdy, Katie Morris, College of Morris. First of all, I just want to start by saying thank you, both for your presentation and for your service. My father's currently active duty Air Force up in Pentagon, and so it really hits home for me. And so I guess my question is, I know the Air Force, I hear a lot about bringing veterans back and integrating them back into the community. And I want to know, what does the Air Force currently have in action? I only ask because I want to make sure that Louisiana Tech A&M can match it or top it.
more geared toward the people that have been in the military for 20 years. So the veterans that come to Texas A&M, we've got in, we did our 4 years, 6 years, what have you, and you're done. We're here now. So we don't really fit that bracket of what all the military does for us coming out. I have no control of that, not yet. One day I can be the president and do that. But right now I'm at A&M, so all I can think of to do is to do it here.
Okay, Senator Robertson.
Hey, Christian Robertson, Florida Cadets. Mr. Woodland, thank y'all again here at Howard. But my brother's just like in your position. He's on terminal leave right now from the Navy. He's a Mariner for 6 years. I know that right now when he's coming out on his terminal leave and how the separation period from the military kind of puts you in awkward positions to apply for university, like to get in. So he's pretty much taking the semester off, has nothing to do with it. He can't really apply on time. Do you believe that this should fit into your thing, be able to get different deadlines for veterans?
There are already different, I think there should be, because when you get released from active duty, it's not on the school time frame. It's your 4 years are done when your enlistment contract is up. And if your enlistment contract is up, I don't know, December 20th, and you want to enlist for the spring, register for the spring semester, I'm still in the military mindset. And you want to register for the spring semester, well, spring semester dates are way past by that point. So I think there should be some leeway there. I know for readmits for myself, all I had to do was say, hey, I want to come back, and it was taken care of right there, regardless of the time frame. So I know that for readmits, that leeway is there, but I don't know for sure, and I haven't heard anything about if you're coming to the university for the first time, but I do think that would be very beneficial for veterans trying to come out of the service and go back to college.
So we have about 1 second. We have a couple questions, including an important guest. So
move to extend for a period that satisfies the current questions on the list.
Okay, so until the end of the current questions.
Point of order, yes, it designated.
You have to designate a time period, 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So, second, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Senator Bowen, I believe you had a motion.
Yes, I would ask unanimous consent to grant RS and Regents Order speaking privileges to ask a question.
Do I see any? No? Okay.
I just have one question, or comment about your concerns. The student body has a form of talking to regents. It's through your president or your speaker, and annually we have all the presidents come speak of the universities come speak to student body presidents and tell us their concerns. Also, anytime that you have a concern, just like you do right now, you got my attention. But if it's any subject, not just about the military, but any subject, if it's a consensus of the student body, you can have your speaker or your president through a region. We can put an item on our agenda to hear your concerns. So please understand that we are open to listening anytime you want to tell us if it's a consensus of this body. Okay.
Thank you. With that, Senator Hutchinson.
Hi, Annabelle Hutchinson, Freshman Caucus. First of all, I think this is a great idea. And second of all, I would love to help. And my question is, what are the ways I can help?
Well, right now, this is basically a call to action. I'm telling you all what's happening, and what I would like is for you all to jump on board with it and give it a hand, because I'm just as new as you. So a lot of y'all have been here a lot more than I have. I'm discovering Cody is a plethora of knowledge. But basically, what I want you to do, if you want to be a part of this, send me an email. It's on the website, underneath my name, and we're probably like next week. We're all going to get together after everyone emails me who wants to do it. And hopefully, if there's no one thing that's too big for one person, us doing it together, it's going to work.
Okay, thank you. Senator Bowen, the last question. Withdraw. Oh, right, yeah. Okay, so that's the last. Oh, sorry, T-Bro.
We got tests and stuff next week, but if I send you my email, can I still be made aware of what's going on so that when my schedule is lighter, I can?
Absolutely. I do not deny help.
And one last point, if anybody wants to talk to me personally, he has all my contact information. Please get through him. He can then forward it on to me and get in touch with me that way, just to make it all one point. So we're not.
Yeah, our goal was 80 different senators didn't create 80 different bills all at once.
Okay. Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Senator, the previous meeting's minutes have been sent to you. Thank you to Speaker Hathaway. I kind of misplaced those, I guess. So, with that, seeing no objections, we will approve the previous meeting's minutes. Seeing none, minutes approved. With that, we'll move into new senator confirmations. Speaker Hathaway, do you want to present these guys?
Yeah, can the four new senators come up here, please? All right, howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
So we went through the vacancy process again. We had a total of 7 applications, I believe, for 4 positions. And I'll let everyone briefly introduce themselves, give your caucus, your year, and why you applied for Senate.
Hi, I'm Cody Miller, College of Education and Human Development, Community Major, class of 2015. And I applied for Senate because I just want to make a difference
Howdy. I'm Alex Branson, fighting class 2015, and I'm in the College of Business. And I'm just really excited. I'm friends with Cody here, and I know a lot of people in the Senate, and I really do think that this is where God called me to be, and I just want to help this campus in any way I can, and just serve that way.
Howdy.
Howdy.
I'm Jake Reeves, Corps Cadet C2, class 2015. I'm in education and major like him, and I wanted to join because I want to make a difference.
Howdy.
Howdy. Ben Adams, also Corps Cadet C2, class of 2015. I'm in College of Veterinary Medicine, biomedical sciences major. I joined just because I figured it was a good way to get involved and make a difference in the university.
If I may, first of all, Senator Hutchinson, you have ZPs. And I do believe that we had a few more people in the room from the class of 2015. 2015. Okay, thank you. Slightly better. Slightly. Sorry. Does that conclude your presentation? Thank you. Any questions for the senators? Senator Spencer?
I'm just wondering if you could all briefly tell us how you found out Senate existed, or technically how things exist.
For us to Mr. Robinson
For us to senior service,
Grant was my EG counselor.
Okay. Further questions? Senator Brown?
Is all 2 plan on matching, or is this? We plan on matching. It's pretty clear.
Okay. Further questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none.
Did you 2 plan on
Your point is well taken. With that, if we can please, seeing no further questions, Chair will close question and answer. With that, if you all can please step outside momentarily, we're going to talk about you. Speaking for Senator Womack.
Other than the fact that I thought I used to have a lockdown on matching people. Okay, obviously great process, excellent candidates. I've spoken with a couple of them, I think they'd be great. No reason to vote against them.
Great. Any against? Speaking against. Going once, going twice, seeing none, chair needs to be undecided. Motion for a voice vote. Do I see a second? Seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Nay. Okay, with that, we will vote on confirming. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? With that, They passed unanimously. If you could please bring them in to swear. Swear them. And I will let Jeff explain what this confirmation is all about.
Well, howdy. Howdy. This is the most jovial I've ever seen. The governance room. Austin, that was probably the funniest joke I've ever heard. Here on the floor. Very well timed. Actually just posted that same quote on your Facebook wall, so be looking for that. In fact, if you want to look at it while I'm up here, you have your computer.
Okay, I already was.
Okay, so we're here for the Sol Ross Penny Collection Act, which it's really an exciting part of my job. Every other year, because it's a 2-year deal that we're confirming here, that you're confirming here tonight. Every 2 years, the student body president solicits applications for different student organizations, recognized student organizations here, and their respective charities to collect the pennies on Sol Ross, which has been cool and one of the most read-ass things I think I've had come across my desk as student body president. So it was a really fun task in front of me, and turned out to be really difficult. Because as you know, Texas A&M is full of things that are literally changing the world and helping people, and serving people through selfless service in incredible, incredible ways. And every application I read, that was exactly the case. And so it was a difficult decision, but one organization stood out above the rest, and that organization is the one that I'm bringing you tonight as my choice to collect the pennies off of Sol Ross statue, because the charity that these pennies go to can make a really, really big difference. That organization's name is Northrise University Initiative here at Texas A&M. And these girls here, Brittany and Courtney, are here as the chief student leader and the financial officer of that organization. And we'll have time for Q&A to ask any of us questions about where the pennies would go. Basically, we're not talking about a whole lot of money. We're just not. It's really cool. It's really ceremonial money, but it's not a whole lot of money. And so everybody that sent in their applications had wonderful charities that they, as a student organization, were going to donate to. Wonderful charities. But the couple hundred, and I might be being generous here, the couple hundred that you're going to be able to generate in a semester or in a year from the statue of Sol Ross really was going to make a tiny little drop in some of those charitable buckets. Yet what Northrise represents is, one, a tie-in to a university in Zambia, and two, something that can really make a huge difference with a really, really, really small amount of money. And that is, they represent an organization and asked to use the pennies on Sol Ross to provide meals for college students at this university in Zambia. Basically, I can give you a little rundown. I've been to Africa twice. I haven't been to Zambia, but I've been to Kenya twice. And one thing that I've seen, and one thing that's very true in the developing world, is that students, a lot of times in education, whether or not they're going to go pursue an education, comes down to very, very basic needs. And if lunch is provided at a school or a university, students are much more likely to go and get an education, because if not, they're going to have to find a meal somewhere else. And for a lot of Zambian students, that might be the only meal they eat. So to provide lunch every day for one college student for an entire week, Northrise can do it for $5. So you're looking at 500 pennies on Sul Ross, if these girls and their organization collective can then provide for one college student every day of the week lunch for an entire week. And that's a huge impact that we can make for a lot of students on a whole other side of the world who are trying to get a university degree exactly like we are here in Aggieland. And so to me, that was taking what seems so small as that little penny that actually cost the United States government more to make than we can purchase with it. But yet the purchasing power of those 500 pennies in Zambia at Northrise at this university, to me, was really a no-brainer and an easy choice to say, this is a good return on our investment. And it's funny, because I don't think I would have ever thought when I was throwing a penny up there that I'd be thinking about, what can my return on investment be about this right here? But we're thinking that way now, so that's why I brought Northrise here, and I'm just really excited about this. We have an opportunity to do a lot of good with the little. So it absolutely ties into what the statute calls for, which is general welfare of the student body according to our core value of selfless service. This is an incredible way that we can help people who are just like us, trying to get a degree with a little bit of money that can go a long way. So with that, we'll open it up for a brief Q&A.
Okay, do I see any questions? Chair Harris first.
I just have one. What do you intend to do with all the gift cards and other ridiculous things that get thrown up there?
I don't know that. Do people put gift cards?
Yes, I've seen gift cards.
I don't know. Do you have any creative ideas for that?
I had no idea who did that.
If people put credit cards up there, I'm sure that we'll just be able to swipe it clean and send it over. But I would be interested to see if there's actually money on those gift cards and people left them. But I don't know. Maybe that's a road that these very intelligent young ladies can figure out.
Okay, thank you. Senator Gilman.
Full young college administrators. Was wondering, how are you going to make sure, or what's going to be y'all's kind of timeline for picking it up? Is it going to be weekly? Is it going to be monthly? How are you going to attack that?
For sure, monthly. The first thing that popped into my head was recently. Honestly, I haven't seen that much attention on how fast it stacks up on Philly. So that'll probably be one thing we look at.
I think it's required of us to have it every month. There's a big accountability and
Chair Barber.
Howdy, Drew Barber, CR. Jeff, just if you could real quick take us through the process, how many applicants, how you decided.
Sure. Bobby Scoggins is my special advisor and the one who really keeps track of all the statutes, etc. Basically, he brought the application to me, which in the application, the statutes were attached that was sent out. We sent it to Dr. Stackman because student activities as the director, he has a student leader listserv that basically goes out to every chief student leader. That's why we all have to put our emails in when we're chief student leader. So the email went out to everybody, and I believe it was probably a full week. Probably it was required of us 5 days. It was about a full week that we said, here's the application. It's on sga.tmu.edu. You turn it into the lockbox. Then he came and brought those applications to me, just put them in a folder, brought them to me. I was the only one who saw them to make this decision, other than Internal Affairs. IA got all of the applications as well. And I believe there were 9 or 10. I can't remember. Sorry, I have them in my office. So that was the general process. We asked everybody to have the signatures on their application. First of all, the name of the organization, name of the beneficiary. The name of the beneficiary for them is Northrise University Give Me 5. It's the specific, they're not giving to Northrise University, they're giving to this very specific Give Me 5, because that's for, it provides for the meals. Then we asked for their student financial officer's signature and information, that's Brittany, and then her sister, Courtney, the chief student leader's information, and then their organizational advisor signed off on it. And then just attach a brief memo of what they would do with the money. So it was really simple. Went out to, the way we advertised it though was to those chief student leaders.
Senator Jessup.
Mark Jessup, College of Liberal Arts. How exactly do they feed a college student for $5 a week?
Well, part of Northrise's goals is to
You know, like I said, IA has all the applications, so you're more than welcome to look at them. At least I believe they do. Should have been emailed. Okay, should have been emailed to that group. I can just run through a few of them. We had carpool apply, ags apply, I believe maybe environmental issues committee. Sorry, I'm reading through lots of applications for different things today. Headphones for Hope applied. I'm not sure, but they are filled out. If you want to see them, I've got them in my office.
Okay, further questions? 30 seconds, going once, going twice, seeing none, short closed question and answer. With that, we'll move into a period of debate. First up, we'll see debate 4, Senator Sue.
Senator Sue off campus, howdy. I never thought that this day would come. I actually wrote the Sol Ross Penny Act about 2.5 years ago, so it kind of stood dormant somewhere, and now Jeff and his special advisor Robert Scoggins has brought it back. So kudos to that. Thank you for doing your job first and foremost. I will say that I think the key thing about Jeff's selection here is the reasoning he gave, which was how much money is involved here. When we were writing the bill back in the day, I think the estimate was like $250 a year max. And that was kind of what we roughly came up with. So when you're thinking about that amount of money that's at stake, you got to think small. Some type of charity where you can give a little bit of money and have a big impact. And I think the charity that he has chosen and the organization that's going to collect those funds for that charity is great on all accounts for that. So really appreciative of the process, and I believe every chief student leader had the opportunity to apply for this. He gave it due consideration. We should defer to him. I yield the floor.
Okay, thank you. Seeing debate against. Going once, twice, seeing none, chair deems debate one-sided. We'll move to a vote. Do I see a motion for a voice vote? Move. Second is all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Chair calls that in favor. Okay. That being said, all in favor of confirming the Sol Ross Penny Act organization, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Nay. Okay, sure that passes. If we can, well, I guess we don't need to swear them in, but please let me know.
All right, howdy. Howdy. Well, I'm going to be real quick with my exec report here because we're trying to
get back in order.
We're trying to make it across the street to the Bright Complex to go talk to the student athletes real quick. Just give an update of everything that we're doing here in SGA. We did this last month, and they were really wanting us to come back. So, a few things. One, what an incredible university we are at. That's just kind of what I'm first thinking here. Our dinner with Regent Schwarter and then having him be here tonight, I mean, that is really special and that's really unique. And the sentiments that he shared, exactly like he said, that's how the whole Board of Regents operates. That's how, that's unique. And what's also very unique is that that's how our administration operates too. I mean, I cannot tell you how many administrators I've had come up to me like, hey, I've been hearing that students are having a problem with this. What is going on? Tell somebody to come talk to me. Come talk to me. Come talk to me. That is so incredibly rare. And I tell you what, with talking to the different SVPs of the SEC and seeing how some of these different schools work, and even the SVPs in the Big 12 and some of these different groups that I talk to, they kind of say what their role is as student government, and it's truly unbelievable the fact that we really are the focus, which that's how it should be everywhere, which is no surprise because everybody should be like Texas A&M. So just gig 'em, whoop. This is a great place. I wanted to show you this real quick. Tom Reaver brought this by my office today, and what it is this is a piece of the tile that is going into the bottom part of Rudder Fountain, the newly renovated Rudder Fountain. Just as a little piece of progress of what's coming along with the MSC project and the fact that Rudder Tower is part of that as well. And if you'll notice, and I'll leave this over here in my seat, if you notice, there is a grip to this tile, non-slick, if you will. So, you know, I'm not going to advocate anything there, but I can tell you that this non-slick gripped environment, or what am I saying? I'm trying to tiptoe around here. This wasn't even a student initiative. This was administrators going, we know what our students do, and so they're protecting the fountain and protecting you. So once again, great school. So it's actually the same tile that is in Troy Aikman's pool. So there's something that's interesting. A few little updates. You'll see these yellow signs. Matt Coe, do we have a yellow sign here? Look at it, everybody. Caution, protect your vote. Vote against College Station Proposition 1. Tanner and I were in a meeting with Dr. Lofton and the rest of the university stakeholders, transportation, security, et cetera, to talk about what to do with Joe Route. We were firm and staunch in advocating for the bill that we passed for bidirectional limited access. We still do not have a decision from Dr. Lofton on that, mainly because he was going to make it yesterday and he came down with a little bit of a stomach virus, and so it took him out of the office yesterday, and then today he's been with the Board of Regents doing various things. So we should know sometime soon, but I just wanted to kind of give you an update on where that bill is. And also I asked Matt to hold up that sign because right after that meeting, Dr. Lofton called me back to his office, just he and I, to talk a little bit. And he is incredibly concerned with our relationship right now when it comes to voting with the city of College Station. His frustrations are exactly lockstep with our frustrations, and that is that the city of College Station is not welcoming Texas A&M University into the process like they should be. When I think of college students and College Station, there's only a few letters that are different between those two names. If it wasn't for Sol Ross writing that check way back when he was president, this place wouldn't even exist. It wouldn't. And so it's very important that Texas A&M has an on-campus early voting location, which, thanks to Dr. Lofton and Bobby Weiser and his administration and Drew Barber and my administration, we were able to secure that on-campus voting location for the special election that's going on right now. And if you can vote, get out there and vote, because the city is pressuring the university again to take away our on-campus location because it's just not utilized. So get out there and vote, but the only hiss that matters, the only yes, we do need an on-campus voting location answer that matters is that little red, white, and blue sticker that says, I voted. And so if you have registered to vote, go vote. If you haven't registered to vote here in Brazos County, do so that you can at least vote in the 2012 presidential election. And then also, when you do go vote, it is the full stance, total stance, unanimous stance of the Student Government Association on behalf of the 50,000 students here to vote no on Proposition 1. What that does, and you've heard me say this time and time again, that moves elections from May to November, which is when students are here. So Chris and I drafted up a campus-wide email. Chris, Matt, and I all drafted up a campus-wide email that should be going out tomorrow, informing the student body of this issue. And so that's really because Dr. Lofton asked me to really beef up our efforts on that, and I told him about the yard signs and all of those. And really, it's something that I implore you to come alongside us, and let's really join together to meet this issue head on, because we have a lot of power in our hands. Just like Regis Shorten was saying, here at the university, we have that same power here in this city. And so let's go for it, man. Let's go for it. And so part of that is going to be working with Matt and Drew to hold those signs at voting locations next Tuesday on voting day. So look for the Google Doc. We'll send that out. Sign up to hold the signs. And it's going to be a great time, and it's really important that we do that. So that is, I guess, the remainder of my executive order. Thanks. Get them.
Yeah. There you go. Now, Senate, if I may, by unanimous consent, move to the consent agenda. We'd like to give Jeff a rough copy of the Aggies Canada resolution so he can take it with him to this meeting. So,
I move that we deviate from the agenda to go to consent agenda.
Okay. So, by unanimous consent, can we do this? Seeing no objections. All right. So we're now at the consent agenda. Are there any objections to any items placed on the consent agenda? Please be aware that I sent you the revised consent agenda. The Tee Up with SG recognition and appreciation resolution is out of order. We're going to have to do that during open session. Everything else on the agenda is on the consent agenda. 18 is the Q-Drop Task Force charges resolution. that is now moved off consent agenda to new business. Thank you. With that, any other further objections? Okay, going once, going twice, consent agenda is approved, minus SB 6418, so that will be considered new business. With that, Jeff, that passed, you can take the Aggies Can resolution with you. All right, great, thank you. I'll call my own orders of the day, we're going back. Chief Justice Rowe, do you have any report? Whoop. Great. Now it's my turn, and I do actually have a report this time, Senate, and I'm going to keep this brief. I was planning on kind of, for lack of a better term, chewing it all out today, but I'm not going to do that because this meeting's been going exceptionally well. But I do want to briefly kind of review expectations of being in the Student Senate. You're expected to come to meetings, you're expected to stay for the meetings, you're expected to stay in this room, you're expected to stay in your seat, as is reasonable, and you're expected to be quiet, as is reasonable. If you need to discuss something, you may discuss something. I would encourage you, if it's longer than one sentence, to go outside so that you don't disrupt the meeting. Use Facebook, use texting, use anything you can to keep it quiet. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people whispering in this room quickly escalates. And I can turn into a real jerk if I need to and start calling people out of order. And I believe it's 3 out of orders and you're censored. I really don't want to do that. So please, keep order in this room. We've really been slacking. Professional conduct, I know that we don't do a good job, perhaps, of letting new senators know the dress code, so I'm not chastising anyone, I'm just stating for the record. Men are expected to wear ties, men are expected to wear jackets, and women are expected to wear business professional attire. If you have any questions about what that means, please contact Speaker Pro Tem Hathaway. I'm not going to delve into that by any means. I also wanted to let you know, since we've had a difficult time, pardon me for 1 second. This is the Aggies Can resolution. Thank you. We've been having a really difficult time getting out of here by 10:30. Some of that is not our fault, some of it is. So I expect this place to not turn into a circus from here on out. One of the measures I will be taking to make sure that that doesn't happen, I will not be redirecting points of information to people to answer immediately. I will be answering all points of information after the question, the answer to the question has been given to me in writing by our fish aides. That's part of the reason that they're here with me, is that if you have a point of information, especially if you didn't do your job beforehand and it's something you could have asked, I will be sending them to find the answer for you. They will get an answer back to me in writing when it's reasonable for them to do so, and then I will let you know that. But you may not direct points of information directly to anyone in this room without going through me. So that's a change effective immediately. Also, and this is for your consideration, this is not anything that is for sure happening. Now this is not a bad thing, this is hopefully a good thing. I've been in pretty extensive discussion with SVP Pickering, with our IA team, with a lot of folks about the possibility, and don't hit us until you hear what this means, of having weekly Senate meetings. And what that means is we could potentially split this meeting into 2 meetings. And to boil it down to brass tacks, it could be a new business meeting and an old business meeting. And hopefully we could be out of here by, I don't know, say 9 o'clock every week. You could have it on your schedule every week, and we won't have this up and down of, oh my gosh, it's a Monday and it's a Senate week, so I have to budget my time for the entire week to make sure that I get all my homework done. So that's kind of an idea we're throwing around. We'd like to do maybe a trial period in the spring semester. If you have any ideas, any concerns, if you love it, if you hate it, please let me know and email me. But that is all I have for my executive report. Are there any questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none, thank you. And then, Amanda, do you have any? No report from Speaker Hathaway. With that, thank you. We are now moving into old business. Yes,
I feel like a real jerk doing this, but I move to reconsider the vote on the Sol Ross Penny Act confirmation.
Okay, a motion has been made to reconsider the Sol Ross Penny Act vote confirmation. It's been seconded. Now, this doesn't happen to me often, so help me out here. Is this debatable?
Yes.
It is debatable. Yes, did you point?
I'm sorry, point of parliamentary inquiry. Did you vote for it, or did Scott vote for it? Vote in favor of it originally?
Scott, did you
I
vote?
did not.
He did not, so it's out of order for you to make a motion to reconsider. A motion to reconsider must be made by someone who has voted for it. So with that, that motion is out of order. Now, seeing that, we'll move into old business, SB 6418. If the authors may come forward, you have 10 minutes for presentation, 5 minutes for Q&A. That's the University Drive Crosswalk Safety Bill. I think we have a presentation.
Howdy. Howdy. This bill I've been working on it for quite some time because, slide, please. I got a little story for you, Ax. I was here over the summer taking classes because, well, I want to graduate in December, so that way I never have to be with you guys again. And there was this guy sitting behind me, and he was talking about how he was walking to the brand new engineering building back from Taco Bell where he had just had lunch and almost got run over. And he was complaining that there was no little pedestrian light to indicate when he should cross. So I just had these printed up, and I turned around and I reached behind me, and I said, here's my business card. Shoot me an email. I'm a senator. That's what I do. He never got back to me. I guess I intimidated him. So, well, then this year I moved into the university apartments. Slide, please. And so I have to walk to the new engineering technologies building from there. The red path is the legal path, the path that I am supposed to take. The blue path is the path that I, of course, am taking every morning, which means that sometimes it ends up like, slide please, this, playing from. You don't always know what to Slide please. Just to give you guys another idea, the blue path is the path that everybody who wants to go to McDonald's or Taco Bell winds up taking from the new engineering technologies building. The red path is the legal one. Slide please. I started asking questions about, who owns this intersection, who we need to talk to about getting these little lights up. And apparently I stepped on some toes because these signs showed up that say only cross with the signal. Slide please. They showed up on the two intersections or on the two corners that have the stars on them. Funny thing, the only places where there's a signal going to or from are where the arrows are. So on that southeastern corner, good luck trying to cross when the signal tells you to. It's physically impossible to cross when the signal says cross. Slide please. Funny thing about who owns this intersection. The red section of road is owned by the university, part of Transportation Services. The blue section of road is owned by the city of College Station. The black section of road is owned by the state of Texas. So we have literally no man's land. Nobody knows exactly who it is, and so that's why this bill took me a couple of weeks through committee to try and figure out where the hell it goes. Slide please. Some things that you need to take away from this. The crosswalks are there. There will need to be no painting of roads. There will need to be no cutting of pedestrian ways. No ramps need to be installed. It is ADA compliant. All they need to do is put up the little lights that say, you can cross now. Maybe even put on the little placebo buttons so that way you can feel like you're doing something. Everything, from what I can tell, is there and set up for this to happen, except for the actual lights being there. I've spoken with Peter Lenning, the Director of Transportation Services, who has informed me that he is speaking with his counterparts at the state level and the county level and the city level. And that's possibly where I stirred up somebody and got the signs that tell me not to cross unless the signal tells me I can. But they are working on this already. I just think that having a student opinion, they're saying, hey, this is kind of a priority, we don't like dying on our way to class, would be a good thing to have. All right, and Catherine, do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to add that, Catherine Attinger, I'm a UA senator, but it's not just important to university apartment residents. I know a lot of engineers that like to park in the
So there's a lot of students who are engineers that may park there, or even students. I have a class in the engineering building, even though I'm an ag leadership major. So there's a lot of students that will park over there, and then they can't get across to their classes legally or without taking a long way. And there's times where we get stuck in the middle of university because on the median there's a path to go through for pedestrians and bikes. There's just no signal, so we're stuck in the middle, looking at the lights, waiting to see, can we cross here? Can we not? Is there a car coming? Am I going to get run over? And some students just do it cross anyway, in which case the cars are kind of swerving out of the way. So it's kind of dangerous on both levels.
Okay. Complete your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. With that, Senator Womack, first question. Withdrawn. Withdrawn. Further questions? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, Chair will close question and answer. Thank you. With that, we'll move to a period of debate. Debate 4. Chair will see Chair Bain.
Chair Bain, I absolutely love this building, but hate going to Northgate to get lunch because of this exact same reason. I would like to graduate in May and not have to worry about cars or buses hitting me, even though it'll probably give me free tuition. But so let's go ahead and get this through. It's a good bill. He's obviously done extensive homework and seen some work on it. So let's do it.
Okay. Debate against. Going once, going twice. Seeing none, Chair deals debate undecided. We will take a quicker vote on SB 6418. Yeah, I'm sorry. Are there any clickers outstanding? Yes. Yes. Okay. Are we done? Are we done? Okay. Hey, that looks like it passed. With that, moving on to our agenda, SB 6420, the Pass Certificate Program requirement for students on academic probation bill. I believe that's Senator Murkowski.
Howdy. This is the Pass Certificate bill, and what this entails is 2 weeks ago I sent you something that
presentation. Let me try and find it.
Thank you. While he sees it, that's still in existence, I'll talk about it a little bit. What the purpose of this bill is with student counseling services, there is a PASS program for academic success, which essentially entails 2 things. Number one, you go take a test called the LASSI test, which I believe stands for Learning Assessment Study Skills Inventory. And secondly, then they send you to any one of the seminars which are offered by student counseling services to improve whatever this test says you can improve on, be it study skills, time management, procrastination, confident models. There's any number of things that can do this. And what they have found is that between students that do this program and students who don't participate, it generally raises your GPR by, I think it was about 2 points. So like people were rising from about 2.1 to 2.3. It wasn't like really a good situation, but it was getting them a little bit away from the green. And so what I'm proposing in this bill is that when a student is placed on academic probation not for any purpose, but for purposes of scholastic efficiency, meaning your cumulative GPR has dropped below 2.0, that you have to go in and meet with your advisor saying and sign a probation contract. And with this contract are certain stipulations such as you've got to take so many hours, you can't drop them, you've got to carry it, you've got to make up the deficiency points and kind of get yourself back on track. And what I'm proposing is that along with that, within that contract, we require that you go in and you participate in this program, which means, just a handful of things. You go and take the Lassie test. Well, first you have an initial consultation with the counselor over there. Then you take the Lassie test. Then you have another consultation, and then finally, they stick you in one of these programs, and it's a done deal. And over the course of a semester, I believe it's a very feasible thing, and something that's probably worthwhile, especially considering that, just a little earlier tonight, we were discussing retention within the university, and I believe this is something that can help that. Before y'all start the questions, I'm going to preempt you a little bit with a few common things that have come up. First, are there any costs associated with this? And as of right now, I don't believe so. The impression that I'm getting is that with the current staff and the current resources, they're prepared to handle people to come in and handle this. But the second thing that I've got to figure out, and I'm still kind of waiting to get some answers on this, is to ascertain the exact amount of students that we historically had on academic probation by college, so that we can make sure that we're not overwhelming student counseling services with a whole host of people that they're not prepared to handle. And my early impressions is that would not be the case, but until I can completely figure that out, I'm probably going to put this back in the committee until we have some more solid answers on that. But as far as this is a great explanation of everything that I was just saying in much more concrete terms. I don't know if you want me to read all that or not. I'll refer to it perhaps in questions, but
Okay. We have several. So first up, Senator Mandry. Okay. Senator Buckley.
Mark lived on campus. Just out of curiosity, have you yourself ever been on scholastic probation?
A couple years ago, yes, sir, I was.
All right.
And I believe it probably would have helped. So.
Senator Davis. Withdrawn. Senator Nelson.
Ethan Nelson, College of Geoscience. In terms of time commitment, what are your students usually saying?
It really boils down to 4 meetings. First off, you go in and you consult with an advisor. Then you have to go take the test, which is online, so we have that. Any current student can go ahead and take that, right now. Third, you go back in for another consultation, and then finally, they're probably going to recommend that you go to one of their seminars, which are already scheduled at the beginning of the semester. And like I said, the impression that I get is, the test is already there, the counselors are already there, the seminars are already there. So, like I said, I don't expect it's going to overwhelm students in terms of time commitment. I don't expect it's going to overwhelm SDS in terms of staff or resources. But I want to make sure of that before I proceed further.
Further questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none, chair will close. Period of question and answer. And was there a motion you were?
I want a motion to put it back in AA so we can get a few more answers.
Moved, seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Defeating chair, that ayes have it. We will refer that back to the AA committee. I think that may be the first time I've ever done that. Refer to it back after. No, that's not true. I did that last time. Anyways, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Next up is SB 6422, the Equal Access to Public Transportation Bill. Senator Spencer, give us 10 minutes.
Okay, howdy.
Howdy.
All right, so this bill has changed rather drastically from the first time that I brought it before the Senate. The reason for that is I met with Director Lang in the same meeting where I talked about crosswalks and not dying. We talked about this. Story behind this bill is that my girlfriend is in a wheelchair. And she doesn't like to use, she wants to use public transportation as opposed to having to take her car or having to take the, I forget what they call it, but they do have a dedicated fleet of vans just for persons who are paralyzed or in need of extra assistance. But she prefers to take the public transportation for environmentalism and all those other wonderful, glorious things. And she started taking the bus, in part because her car broke down. And the first 20 times she tried to take the bus, 4 times the wheelchair lift broke. So that was the primary reason for the meeting with Director Lang. And the original intent of the bill was to get them to better maintain the buses. Turns out, it's not a maintenance problem, it's that the buses are terrible. They know this, the next generation of buses, they promise will be better. But the issue with drivers not knowing how to operate the lifts was also a problem for her. Sometimes she didn't feel exactly welcomed to be riding the bus because the bus driver kind of had to sigh and call into dispatch and figure out what switches, what levers to pull, what buttons to push, all of this process. We talked about this, and my first idea was have them run the lifts every single time when they start up their shift. They're already going around the bus, kicking the tires, all of that. Director Lang didn't really care for that idea because it would take too much time and could potentially slow down the schedule, and I can understand where he's coming from. So my middle ground solution that I'm proposing here today is they're currently doing once a semester evaluations of every driver. There's an administrator from Transportation Services who rides on the bus with every driver every semester. And so when they're doing this evaluation, why not just say, okay, while we're stopped here at the MSC, there's a person in a wheelchair. You don't see them, but go ahead and operate the lift and just see how it works. So that way, they're still getting a refresher every time, or every semester at least. But it's not causing a huge delay in the schedules of the buses. And with that,
Great, thank you. With that, first question goes to Sarah Womack.
Hi, Mark Womack off campus. This is kind of something I've always been wondering about. How long, start to finish, does it take to lower the wheelchair lift and raise it back up?
On the Millennials, which are the newest buses, which have the worst wheelchair lifts, it takes an average of about 3 to 5 minutes if the driver knows exactly what they're doing for the entire process. When the driver has to call into dispatch 3 or 4 times to figure it out, it can take 10 to 15 minutes. With the Novas, which are the more reliable wheelchair lifts, it takes about 2 to 4 minutes. But again, if the driver has to call into dispatch to figure it out, it takes a longer period of time.
Thank you. Senator Roberts.
David Roberts off campus. You said that this is middle ground between what Mr. Lang wanted and what was first suggested. Does he know about this middle ground?
I brought up this idea and it was briefly discussed, but we had many other things to talk about. We did not fully flesh out this idea. I did also include in here enacted too that if they come up with any other ideas that they think will work, I recommend that they take it. Just.
Okay. Any further questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none? Nope, sorry.
Yeah, just brief all. Was it a good conversation or was it kind of heated?
No, it was a wonderful conversation.
All right, cool.
Okay, going once, going twice, seeing none, chair will close. Period of question and answer, moving to a period of debate. Do I see debate 4? Debate 4, somebody? Senator Jim Carey.
I think this is a great bill, adding accessibility to all members of our university. It's really important, and I definitely support it. So, anyone else? I yield to you.
It also makes sure that our bus drivers are aware of every single operation on the bus in any kind of situation. So accountability is another thing, as long as supporting every single acting on campus.
Coming from Ponderosa Deacon area, my bus only comes every 20 minutes, and so if the bus it takes 15 minutes for him to figure out how to operate it. This will make people that are on my bus go to class, so it's been a good thing to get them more familiar with the bus. Oh,
I think that this is something that can be solved without legislation, but at the same time, I met with Mr. Lang and Transportation Services, and they're great, they want students' opinions, so this is something that can be concrete, we can see like, the solution to this problem through this legislation. It's something that you can have like guys saying, oh, I remember that conversation I had with Ms. Herman, this is what we're gonna do with, whatever happens, so I like this bill. And I yield to
I'm actually kind of surprised I don't have to do this already. I know we have to go through a lot of stuff working at the rec, so university service, I see I don't have to know what to do. That's good.
Debate against? Going once, going twice, chair needs debate one-sided, we'll close debate, we move into period of voting, clerk vote. Anybody need more time? I see a clicker or two out there. Okay, let me know if you, okay. Excellent. Alrighty, that passes. With that, move into SB 6433, the International Cultural Diversity Credit Bill. Okay, does anybody have a problem tabling this bill? Going once, going twice. Chair sees no objections. This bill is tabled. With that, we will move into new business. The first item on new business will be SB 6418, Dewdrop Task Force Charges Resolution, since that was on our consent agenda. So we'll address that first. Sure, stage 20.
I know you give speaking privileges to the members of the Dewdrop Task Force.
Motion to give, can you tell us who that is?
That is Executive Vice President Schlusser, Barry Mark Womack, and
Okay, all right. Move seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Speaking privilege is granted.
Our new Associate Provost for Undergraduate Studies has created a task force for students and for administrators to study Q-drops for students, anything related to that. And they're going to put forth a recommendation both for the faculty senate and for us to consider. But for the 4 students who are on that committee, I think it's important that they have some direction from the Student Senate and the Student Government Association as to what you'd like them to advocate for. It's a non-binding resolution. I left it blank with the 2 resolve clauses, so that once it's in committee, if you have an idea of what you'd like to advocate for, an increase to 6 Q-drops, completely getting rid of first-year exclusion, moving the deadline back, this is your chance to let it be known in this resolution. It will be sent to all 4 members of the task force and student members so that they know what direction to go in as far as advocating. And the reason I did a resolution instead of a bill was because a bill would bind the members as far as what they can advocate for. And when you're on a task force like that, it's important to have the ability to give and take with the administrators so we don't get locked into a situation where they're willing to offer a lot, but because it's not exactly what we wanted, we're unable to agree with them and there's no consensus, nothing ever gets done. So this will allow us to have some wiggle room to actually bring back something for y'all to vote on. And in the end, it's going to be something that y'all are going to vote on before anything's approved.
And I think Chris had such a great idea here that if you'll notice, I wrote the exact same bill. So we'll work on that communication. So check one more off the agenda because we'll take it out. So that's really good. I think this is a really good idea. Y'all, this is an extremely important issue. Q-drops have been something that's been brought up for the last 4 years, and this is really the opportunity. We've gotten a lot of administrative support to actually make a change. So for all of you out there that think about serving students, this is the time. So if you are looking to make the impact on how to make student life better, Q-drops are a big way to do so. That being said, we want your input. If you know what you think should go in these blanks, you need to come tell us, because this task force is empowered to make those decisions, to make those changes. So I am very optimistic with the awesome people that we have on this team that big changes are going to happen. So please, please, please don't waste this opportunity. Come to the Academic Affairs Committee meetings and let us know what you think needs to go in those blanks.
That's a good presentation. With that, any questions for the resolution authors? Going once, going twice, seeing none. This is technically on I see a motion. Motion has been made to send this resolution to the Affairs Committee. Seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That is now referred to the Academic Affairs Committee. Thank you. With that, new business yes, stage 1.
I want to make a move.
Motion. Stage motion.
I move to reconsider the vote to confirm North Rise University initiative, and I actually did vote yes for this.
Okay. That is a motion in order. It requires a second. It's been seconded. With that, this is a debatable motion. Let me write down so I gotta figure out what I'm doing here. This is reconsider Sol Ross and need debate, stage point.
Isn't this resolution currently the item that's on the table?
We just sent it to academic affairs.
Okay.
Yes.
Further point,
yes.
I'm sorry.
Say, no, that's fine.
How can we prove that somebody voted?
This was a voice vote. On his Aggie honor, he voted for it. So with that, I will see debate for Senator Bowen.
Howdy.
Howdy.
So the reason I want to reconsider this vote is because I don't believe we gave this proper consideration the first time. And there are a few reasons I believe that. The biggest of which is that we did not have access to the other applications that were sent out. I was reading through some of the applications, and I think there were a lot of worthy causes on there that may not have received due consideration. The one we approved was a paragraph long, and it was very lacking in details, I thought, and some of the other applications were very thorough and gave a clear idea of what they wanted to do with the money that we had entrusted them with. And another thing is, I personally believe that this money should go toward a local charity. Preferably one that benefits the student body of Texas A&M, since that is where the money comes from in the first place. I mean, that's not an absolute qualifier, but I think that's something that really needs to be considered. And so I don't want to impugn the motives of Northrise University. I think they're a great organization. I don't have anything bad to say about them. I just think we need to give this a little more thought. And that's why I'm asking us to reconsider this motion. And basically what a vote for this would do is it would undo the previous vote. So it would not be a non-confirmation, but it would give Jeff the opportunity, and it would give the rest of us the opportunity to put some thought into this vote, because it's a 2-year commitment once we approve the organization to receive that money. And with that, I yield the floor.
Okay. I will see debate against Senator Massoud.
All right, Cody Massoud off campus. I can see the point in the sense that we didn't have the apps, and I guess you've read them, and there might be some concerns there. But let me say this: no one debated against. That's the key point I want to make here. If there's an issue, and the issue about the applications came up, and if that is a legitimate concern of yours, debate against the motion and move that we table it until a later time and consider it then, rather than coming back and reconsidering this after Jeff has walked out of the room across the street. He's not here to defend himself right now. I would also question, from a parliamentarian perspective, I might inquire this later, but I'm not familiar whether a reconsider would just stop something. I think it just redoes the vote. But regardless, I think it still comes back to Jeff's judgment. Remember what I talked about confirmations the last time when it comes to his nominees. If they meet the basic test, if they're capable, if it's a decent charity idea, defer to the student body president's judgment. We do not need to micromanage the executive branch. I don't know how to make myself any more clear. So with that, yield to Senator Womack.
Point of information. Point of information.
That's privileged. Stage point.
When were the emails sent out that had the applications from each of the
I can show you the
What happened was, basically, I was sent the email from Bob Science on October 30th. I forwarded it out to Tanner, and somehow it did not forward to Senate.
But when did we receive that email?
October 30th was from the executive branch to Senate.
Personally, senators.
Right. We tried to send it out, something happened, and I take the blame for that. I used Hotmail, and
I'm just, when did it happen?
right. Let me finish my sentence, please. I was saying something happened, so I forwarded it to you this evening. So I don't know the
Was that
exact
before or after the vote?
I don't know. I sent it out whenever it got to your inbox. You can tell me the time, and I would agree with it. So I sent it out tonight, which is my fault, and I take blame.
Okay, I think that answers the point. We're back in debate.
For all of those of you who are concerned about when did it come into my inbox, that is absolutely a non-issue, okay? This is our responsibility, all right? This is our responsibility. This didn't just appear on the agenda tonight. You had this for 2 weeks, okay? If you were concerned about who was going to get it, you could have gone to the executive branch and asked for those applications. It is extremely unclassy to award the money to an organization and then just say, hold on just a second, I'm not so sure I was doing my responsibility and paying attention. Let me go back and think about that one more time. That is absolutely inappropriate. Generally not appropriate. I 100% agree with that it should go to a local organization, and an organization I was part of, AGS, I think should have gotten it, but that doesn't matter, okay? SVP Pickering did nothing wrong. He followed the statutes. It's his decision, okay? We are the ones responsible for overseeing and providing that oversight. If you had a concern about who was going to go to, or if it should be a local, you had your 2 weeks. Our responsibility is to be proactive in situations in this. Nobody debated against it. Nobody had questions. Why now, an hour later, do we think we have the ability or the audacity to say, hold on a second, I didn't do my job. Let me yank the rug out from under you, take away that funding. Now that both the people that were awarded that money are gone now, which I don't think was done maliciously, but at the end of the day, y'all, we awarded that money. We didn't do our jobs. If we didn't want to award that money, you shouldn't have voted for it. You should have debated against it. The impetus is on us.
Okay. Thank you. With that, debate 4, Senator Esparza.
This is Raj off campus. I like what Mark said about oversight, and I think that's why he come before the Senate for confirmation. If not, we would need to confirm it. And when I did reach out to SVP Pickering, and I got a response at 6:45 that he had just made a decision and he was going to go with North Rise, or whatever the name of the organization is. But the outs were made available, and they were sent out after the vote had been taken. And even if they are the right organization, of course, to agree with and choose, and it is a worthy cause, at least give us the benefit of being able to look at the application, being able to review something that we're supposed to just vote on and confirm. We weren't given the information. It was given to us after a vote had already been taken. So I don't think anyone could have made a fair judgment as to whether or not this was the right decision to make. And I don't blame anybody in the Senate because it just wasn't made available to you. This hasn't been done in 2 years. I don't think it's been done in anybody in here's term. Senator Basu wrote the statutes. It's never been done before. We'd have to actually renew this for somebody. So it was unfamiliar territory, but I think it's important that when confirming something, we have all the information available before we make a decision. And this time we just didn't have that information available. And like I said, I don't blame IA. It was just a problem getting the email out. But like I said, it didn't come out after the vote had already been taken, after the decision had already been made, and the decision was made without all the information available to the student senate.
Okay. With that, debate against Senator Womack.
Well, I'm going to make this quick because I already had my speech. I just have 2 questions for you, and I'll yield to Brody. If you can answer, do you think it's appropriate to take away the money we've already awarded? If the answer to that question is no, you vote against this. And if you can answer the question, do you think, I agree with Chris, we didn't have the information time, but that means we shouldn't have voted for it the first time. Don't act like this is the first time we're getting to vote on. We made that decision, okay? That was our call. We went ahead and voted for that, and now we're saying, hold on a second, we were wrong. We need to go back and renege on that money while the people that are actually getting awarded that money are out of the room. If you answer that that's not right to both those questions, then this is an easy issue, and we need to move on tonight and carry on our business and not backtrack. I'll yield to Cody.
Point of information has been raised. State your point.
Is it required that the application be sent out to the entire Senate?
Not for anything but top staff confirmations, which is the chief staff, chief of communications, executive vice president. State your point.
What can you explain the motion to reconsider?
Yes, I can explain it, especially for our new senators. A motion to reconsider is in order only by someone who voted for the question the previous time. The justification in Robert's Rules of Order for a point to reconsider is that new information has become available since the previous time the vote was taken, and that new information has caused that senator to change his mind about what he voted for, and he then feels that his previous vote was wrong because something new has come to light. That is what a motion to reconsider is. So with that, stage point.
Mr. Speaker, motion to reconsider, what is the legal effect should a motion to reconsider be adopted?
Right, so if we, and debating semantics of what's for and against, I'm not going to worry with that. I'm saying tonight, if you vote for the motion to reconsider, then you are overturning our previous vote and we have denied the confirmation. So when we finish this period of debate and we take a vote, if you vote in favor of the motion to reconsider, then we are removing the funding from North Rice.
Point of order,
Stage point.
Point of order, actually.
Stage point.
Mr. Speaker, my understanding is that the motion to reconsider, if it is adopted, would then return us to the main motion we reconsidered for further debate and a second vote. Page 324,
yes,
Robert's Rules of Order.
you are right. You are right. That would,
look at you.
You are correct. State your point.
How much money exactly are we, just to go back, how much money are we talking here voluntarily acquired? Is
It's a couple of $100 at best.
Point of information.
Stage point.
Has any money actually already been awarded since the vote?
I cannot tell you whether they have gone over there and taken any pennies off Sully yet. Perhaps my fish aides can find out whether they have taken any money off the Sully Ross.
Further point of information.
Stage point.
Do we know when SBC Pickering made the decision to fund it?
I do not know that, and again, my fish aides will find that out for you, and I'll get back to you. Thank you. Stage point.
When you say voted for, do you mean voted for the or just for ordinance?
If you voted for the confirmation, in other words, if you said that you wanted to give the money to them, then you could raise a motion to reconsider because something new has come to light.
Point of information.
State your point.
And sorry for.
That's okay. I'm answering them all. So.
How much money are we talking about, roughly? Does anybody know?
It is debatable. Well, it's not debatable to give a ballpark. The ballpark is, at best, maybe $200, $250 a semester based on my knowledge of the donation. So, with that, further points, seeing none, we are returning to debate. Who has the floor? You have the floor.
Oh, no. Okay, listen, everybody. I think
Order, citizens on order.
I'm going to yield to After this, we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to vote, and I hope we just make the right decision and do not overturn the decision and move on about our business. No, I have the floor. He yielded back to me, and now.
No,
oh, sorry. You pointed at me. Okay, that's weird. I heard that.
I heard that also. I heard that he yielded to Mark. Or Barber. I'm sorry. Mark.
Real quick, I don't know what's going on. I have my debates laid out eloquently before I was interrupted so rudely. Guys, we can't reconsider this motion. I don't necessarily think that this is the best option necessarily, but it is our job as Senate to confirm the one choice that Jeff preached to us. It's not our job to consider the other 9 choices and weighing that against it. I'm in the same boat as Cody, but I trust Jeff's judgment in doing what he did with the utmost integrity and the utmost reverence towards the pennies that are upon Sully. I guarantee you that. And guys, I think we can't go back on the decision. And with that, I will call previous question.
Motion's been made on previous questions, been seconded. All in favor of previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Sure, the ayes have it. Now let me explain what this means before we ask the question. If you vote for, then you want to take a new vote on the confirmation. We would then take a new vote on the confirmation. If you vote against, then you're saying that you don't even want to take a new vote. You want to keep the decision we had and not even give us the option to overturn that decision. So, that being said, all in favor of reconsidering, please say aye. Stage 4.
Second.
Motion for clicker vote's been made and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That has passed. We will take a clicker vote on a motion to reconsider. If you click the A button, you're voting to reconsider, which means we'll then take a new vote on the actual confirmation. If you click the B, you don't even want to ask the question again. You're content with your answer, and that's that. And if C is to abstain, and don't click B.
So B says leave it?
Point of personal preference has been made to freeze the screen. If there are no objections, that's what we will do. Okay, I see no objections. We'll keep it frozen. You can go now. I'm sorry. Yes. I'll watch the screen. A610 is the only one that hasn't clicked in.
I'll go like 5 times.
185E is the only one that hasn't clicked in. Okay. All right. If you're content with your vote, if you got the green dot flash at you, your vote is counted. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close it. And this clearly fails. We will not reconsider the confirmation of the Sully Ross Penny Act. With that, Senate, please return to order. With that, we have about an hour left for new business. First up, SB 6357 renewal bill. This is the weekend library hours extension bill. So we 10 minutes. Then now this renewal bills are voted on this meeting. So it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes for debate. Take a vote. This is the weekend library hours renewal.
Howdy. This was a building class last session. Right now, out of all the university libraries and facilities that they operate, there is no facility that is open throughout the weekend. There's no facility open 7.5 days a week, 24 hours a day. So all we're asking is not for a specific facility, but just for any facility at any given time to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay, next presentation. Questions for the bill authors? Senator Heath.
Senator Heath off campus. We passed this last session, they still haven't fixed it.
They haven't. It went to the people on the student advisory committee and the library councils. We did pass it kind of late, so those usually only meet a few times a semester. So it might have gotten to them too late. So I'm hoping to get it done early this semester or this session so we can get it done on time.
Okay, Senator Riley.
Jake Riley, College of Ag and Life Sciences. Have you found out what the marginal cost is to keep the library open at the university?
I want to say that we spoke to someone on the library council last year, and the best answer they could give me at the time was, and I think we're just trying to move on from it, that we're the most efficient right now, and that we have the longest hours of any university in Texas. But he didn't actually get back to the specific number, so I don't have that information.
Senator Murrah.
When you're off campus, do you think there would be enough, I guess, need for a library or any kind of facility to be open 24 hours on the weekend, considering budget cuts and the cost that would entail?
Well, I noticed the problem last session for a few students, and then this session I was, I brought it up because I was just looking on Facebook over the weekend, and you saw a few people who were going out, but then you saw a lot of people who were struggling just to find a place, a quiet place where they could study, whether it be a coffee house, something like that. And we have great facilities here on campus. And it's just, like I said, you don't have to have all of them open, but just one where students can have a safe, quiet place to study. And it's disappointing that we can't offer that. In that event, you'll find a lot of students scouring around campus looking for buildings that have been left open, propped open by the grad students who are usually here all weekend, just so they can find a classroom or somewhere to study. And it's really unsafe because those aren't monitored, those aren't always kept in the best conditions. So rather than have them going around buildings looking for doors that are open, I think it's important that we have a safe, quiet place for them to study throughout the weekend if they just so desire to.
Senator Robertson. Withdrawn. Further question? Senator Davis.
Senator Davis on campus, is your main concern finding a place for students to study or an actual library?
It's really finding a place for them to study. Like I said, it could be any facility that's operated under library service. I think that'd be the easiest thing to do. But if they wanted to use a building that wasn't typically or traditionally considered a library, and they were willing to staff it and keep it open overnight, just open to the student body, I think that'd be a safe alternative. But right now, like I said, having students went around campus is just not a safe option.
Okay, any further questions? Going once, going twice. Senator Briscoe.
Tyler Briscoe off campus. So would the SEC be included in this category? Because as I understand, it closes like Saturday nights now.
Yeah.
Pretty early.
I think they just decided to stay open Fridays until midnight.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it would be included because I do think it falls under library services and facilities.
Thank you.
Okay, Senator Heath.
I just want to look this up. Is the annex not open 24 hours?
It is throughout the weekdays. And on Friday, I think at 10 it closes and doesn't open back for 24 hours until Sunday, through Sunday night, and Saturday, and it's open a few hours throughout the day.
Further questions? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, chair will close. Question and answer. We will move into debate. Do I see a debate for? Senator Heath.
Senator Heath off campus. I know sometimes, actually my computer dies all the time, and so last semester I went for the entire semester without a computer, and I always use the places here on campus, and there's a lot of people who don't go out on the weekends and want to study, and I don't see students are paying for their education, and Regent Sawyer talked about efficiency, scheduling their hours and stuff, and then provide for space 24/7. Oh, and I looked Thomas.
Howdy, Thomas McNutt, Student Services. Thank you. This came through my committee last year. Last session I debated for and voted for this bill. Again, just like our regent said tonight, and I've been saying it for 2 sessions now, we are the customers, ladies and gentlemen, and anything that we can do to make life a little bit better for the customers without any sort of considerable cost as student senators, I feel we should support. So I am voting for this, and I would hope that you would as well. With that being said, I will yield to Senator Kingsbury.
You've got a minute and a half.
Senator Kingsbury, Liberal Arts. This is a great bill. I think it will be very efficient for the students at A&M. There needs to be at least one designated spot on campus that will be open for everyone to use throughout the weekend. And with that, I yield to
Thank you. With that, debate against Chair Barber.
All right, howdy. Chris brought this up last year, and I hated it last year. And Chris brought it up again this year, and I hated it again this year. Not in principle. I think in principle, if we could feasibly keep the library open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Heck, I'll be here on Christmas to study. Mom, I hope you're hearing that. But I'll study whenever and wherever I can. But I don't know about the feasibility of it. And something that I'm worried about, and something that would need to be looked at, some research that I hope would have been done on this prior to this would be A, the demand. I want to see the demand for it. B, I want to see how much it's going to cost and how much it's going to cost university libraries. We heard from university libraries last week. We heard what kind of money they're having to spend on their online databases and journals. And God knows they have a huge budget, but God knows it's a budget that they work with. So that's what I would want to see. I may be in the minority here, and I may be just preaching to the choir. So with that, I would give to Mr. Riley. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with Drew on this one. Last week I actually kind of looked into using the building or the facilities on the weekend, and they told me it costs thousands of dollars to keep AC, electricity, and all that stuff running alongside hiring staff and personnel to make sure that the building is locked on time and that nothing bad happens in the building. And I just don't see putting that burden on students and tuition prices for the benefit of little, if any, students actually utilizing the entire facility. So that's why I'm voting.
Okay, that yields your time to the floor. Senator Esparza, you have debate 4.
Yes, it does cost. Sorry, it does cost thousands of dollars to operate a building. But you have to remember, you already have students on campus who are going to different buildings, just looking for ways to get in, just so they can find a place to study. I think it's dangerous to have that because you don't always know what buildings are going to be. And the other day, I was going through the engineering buildings trying to find one that was open so I could find somewhere to study. I know, it was weird. And I found a room, but it had a lot of tools in it, but it was quiet, so I studied in there. It's not always the best option for students. It can be dangerous. There's nobody that patrols through those buildings. There's no staff on hand to assist them if something happens. So I think that the cost that it would cost to operate those buildings, I think outweighs the danger of having a student in a building where it's unsupervised, it's unmanned by anybody who can really help them if there's ever a problem that arises. Yeah.
Oh, you're done?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay. With that, Senator Clegg, you have a case.
Oh, good times. As a student who doesn't always study all that much, I don't agree with this bill. There's a myriad of buildings that are open 24/7 on campus. I know the Richardson building is always a 4th floor sanctuary of mine. I've taken many trips to Blocker at around 2 a.m. on a Saturday. There's lots of places that are open. The Commons is a great place that for students that they can go that everybody knows is always open and always welcome to students. And I would just hate to see the West Campus Library hours be cut at any time because it's a highly utilized library to make way for a 24-hour option that might not be as in high demand. It would be great to have a printer available to me at 3 a.m., but I know that I don't have that option, and so I work around it. And part of being a college student is managing your resources and the resources that the university provides to you, and you work with that. We are the customers, but at the same time, there's no reason to have these lofty expectations for 10 or so students. And with that, I yield to somebody that. Yes.
I think kind of with what Senator Barber was saying, biggest thing with this is feasibility. And I think the main students that this bill would target would be students that are on campus, that are living on campus, and I think all the dorms or living residence halls, thank you, have study areas designated for this specific purpose. I think students that are living off campus are going to be more likely to study off campus, especially on weekends, since parking is difficult on campus. It's more likely for them to go to places like Barnes & Noble or other bookstores like that. So for that reason, I think this would be kind of unnecessary and kind of a bad way to use our money. And with that, I yield to Senator Chen.
College engineering. Texas A&M, guys, Texas A&M wants students to succeed. Wants to keep their resources available as much as they can. But there is a reason why the hours are set the way they're set. The workers, they need to sleep too. They have their own lives. There's a reason why they're not looking 24 hours.
Complete your sentence. Stage point.
Can the renewal be amended?
Yeah, that's a point that was just brought to my attention. A renewal cannot be amended, I don't believe. Stage point. Stage point.
A renewal can be amended by a formal amendment made on the floor.
Okay.
It just can't be amended individually.
Which
we now discovered that actually exists.
Okay. Yes, stage point.
Can the renewal be sent back into committee?
Yes, it may, but it may not be amended in committee. So, stage point.
It can actually.
I thought you just said can't.
Yeah, okay. While it's on the floor now, you can't make changes to it. But anything you refer, this is my understanding. This is like, at least when I wrote the bill, this is what I intended. Anything you refer to in committee can be amended there. And brought up again, this is a normal piece of your business.
It just can't be friendly amendment.
Right.
Right.
Which doesn't exist anymore. So, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Is there any solid evidence that making the library open for 24 hours would pull employees away from the WLC?
I will find that out for you and get back to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, WCL.
I will find that out and get back to you. Motion has been made for previous, wait, was there already a motion to move to committee?
Yeah. No.
He didn't make a motion, I didn't think so. Stage point?
Would I be in order making a motion to send this to committee?
Not at this point because the motion's been made for previous question. It's been seconded. All in favor of previous question on this legislation, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Any division? Okay, division is called. All in favor, please stand. Please make a decision within the next 3 seconds and don't change your mind.
Yeah, we want to vote on this. Why don't we want to vote on this?
If you want, hush up. If you want previous question, which means we vote on the bill now and do not have an option to send it to committee, stand up. That doesn't, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Are you going to have your opinions weighed by the baker in the next 2 minutes?
I count 22. 22, yeah. All opposed? Please stand. Okay, this definitely fails. Stage point?
Would I now be in order of making a motion to send?
That's correct. You would now. Motion has been made to send this to the which committee? AA. Student Services. Motion has been made to send this to the Student Services Committee. Been seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
This is now in the Student Services Committee. Wow, we got through that one. Okay, thank you. And with that, ironically enough, we move on to SB 6440, the meeting efficiency bill.
even though we abolished the filibuster rule, theoretically, someone could come in here and filibuster our meetings if they gathered 100 students to come into an open forum. The rules say we have to give them time to speak. They would take up the time, and then seeing as we have a 10:30 deadline, we wouldn't actually accomplish anything. So I hope we get some ideas from that. But that is a way that you could actually filibuster a meeting. And to prevent that from happening, I think we need to look at alternative ways of making sure that the student body's voice is heard, so they don't always feel like they have to pile in at the last possible minute to these meetings to speak. So this bill just talks about different alternatives that they can do that in committee meetings. I know there was some question about it last time, some of the clauses. I'm not married to the idea on this bill. I'm open to a lot of amendments and changes. So if it would just go to the committee meetings, I promise I'll be very open to changes on it. It's just important that we get this accomplished so the meetings can be run more efficiently. And in the end, we get out of here on time every night.
With that, we have questions, Senator Bone.
Scott Bone, College of Engineering. As far as open forum goes, have you considered the idea of having a block period of open forum and then dividing that evenly between everyone who shows up?
Wait, say again.
Okay, so say you have 10 minutes for open forum set aside, and 500 people show up. So you would divide that time evenly among each of the 500 people, so that would be 1.2 seconds each.
And if you give every student 1.2 seconds each, I mean, that's something you could vote on the side. But I don't think that's a fair way to tell them that we're truly hearing you, and they come in here, say their name, and walk out in 1.2 seconds. But like I said, I'm totally open to amendments. I hope you go to committee meetings so they can be discussed. There was like 4 people at the last committee meeting when this was discussed. Any changes, anything to make it the best way possible before it comes back to the floor, I'm very open to that.
Thank you. Thank you. Further questions? Senator Andrews.
Tyler Mangy, Engineering. Apologies if you talked about this already, but how does this differ from the last bill that was similar?
The last enacted clause was removed from it. I'm not sure what that one was. Cody, I spoke to Cody about it. Or Senator Basu, I apologize. Senator Basu. And then, yeah, I'm just not sure what that was. Amanda and I discussed a lot of the changes. A lot of the changes that can be made as far as the window and maybe doing it on the website instead. So there are a lot of changes that are already planned in the committee just to make it a better bill. And like I said, I'm very open to changes. So I just think last time not very many people were at the committee meeting, so didn't really get a fair shake. But please show up to the meeting to make sure that we get this done.
Further questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Chair will close question and answer, and we'll refer this to the Rules and Regulations Committee. And for our new senators, I should go ahead and tell you, because we didn't explain this. For new business, they get 5 minutes for, I'm sorry. Okay, but they get 5 minutes for presentation, 5 minutes for question and answer, and it must be sent to a committee before it can be voted upon. So just so you know, nothing from here on out this should be voted on.
Point of order?
Yes, you
and
can.
then the point of order is all items for this, I'm just looking at the rules of debate now, are 10 minutes presentation and 5 minutes Q&A.
I could have sworn I looked it up when I became speaker and it was 5 for new business.
No.
It is?
Yeah, and so the motion is to amend the rules of debate to make it, for the rest of the items for business in this meeting, 2 minutes of presentation with 2 minutes of Q&A.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Pin chair, the ayes do have it. So we are now to 2-minute presentations, 2-minute question and answer. With that, I believe I've already closed, I've already referred that to committee. Wow, sorry about the 5-minute thing. I could have sworn I looked that up. Next up is 6441 Scholarship Con Application Bill, 2 minutes for presentation.
Howdy, Samir Van Dyne looked at this. It involves the scholarships office. Scholarships and financial aid. Right now, they have a general scholarship app that includes some of the departments and different groups around the university, but it doesn't include all of them. A lot of the departments, multicultural services, Greek life, different ones like that have their own scholarships. The students are required to go onto their website and apply for. And they said just simply because they're unable to get those people to cooperate with one application. So if students had maybe one general application on the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid that they could apply for, then relevant information would be sent to those different departments. It would make it easier in that you just apply to one, and then Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid decides what you're eligible for based on your responses, and sends those applications out to different departments on campus. Because right now, and now that they're not doing that, you have to on your own go out and look at each department and see what scholarships are available.
Okay. Senator Major, up first.
Have you looked at the question of what if different departments want to ask different questions that are specific to the department?
I did, and I spoke to the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid, and they are willing, it was at one of their scholarship meetings, and they are willing to work with them to accomplish, to get as much as possible onto their general application to identify students for those different scholarships. Like I said, it comes down to just making it easier for the students. If you have 1 million scholarships that you're eligible for, you have to go out on your own and fill out each and every one of those applications, anything required on top of that. Whereas if they're all through a common app, it's much simpler to make sure that you've applied to all of them and you get all the money available for you.
Senator Clegg.
Mark Quigley off campus. Do all of the scholarships that you're wanting to fall under this common application all have the same funding source?
They do not. But they wouldn't be funded through Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid. The only thing that that office would handle is the application process, and second to see if someone's eligible for it. And if they are, they'd send that application off to that department in the university, and that department would handle follow-ups and any further steps on top of that. So it's just the initial process that OSFA would handle.
Brief follow-up?
In the interest of time, I can't. Senator LaCivita.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that you were in attendance at the student advisory meeting for the Scholarship and Financial Board, and so is Nicole. I believe that they've said that they have offered this to all of the departments, and that right now it's simply a lack of response. So I guess I don't necessarily understand why we're writing a bill when the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid is already taking initiatives to at least address this issue.
So this bill would go more towards working with the faculty senate and the administration so they can encourage the different departments. Like you said, they have contacted them, but it's just a lack of response. So maybe we can get faculty senate or someone in administration, let them know this is a good idea. This would help students get more responses from the department back to the OSFA office.
And with that, I will refer this to the Academic Affairs Committee. Yeah.
Point of information.
Yes,
Is that Senator Van Dyne's first bill?
I believe it is. With that, SB 6442, the meal plan, meal plan rollover bill.
Howdy. Basically, the title pretty much summarizes what this bill is calling for. It's to roll over in full credit everything that you have in your meal plan from the first semester to the second semester, and also from the second transfer period in the academic year, which would be from the spring to the summer sessions. And you could read in the enactment parts that it's calling so that it's not required to purchase another meal plan so that you can transfer the first semester. It does not make sense that you have to purchase a meal plan when you didn't use another meal plan when you didn't use it in one semester in the first place. It's also kind of so that there is no maximum of $90 that kind of rolled over, because at the moment it's at $100. So if you have $150 in your meal plan, only $100 will transfer. And although this wouldn't affect the enactment number 3, wouldn't affect next year when the mandatory meal plan is implemented, it would, which hopefully, by miracle it's not, then you wouldn't have to convert a meal to $7 because they already plan on doing that. I did speak with the University Dining director, Mr. Riddle, today, and he did make some suggestions, but I did not let him amend my bill. Well, everything is in there. If you have any suggestions or questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you. First up, Senator Esparza.
Do you know why they don't do that right now? Why they don't allow
Mr. Riddle said that they don't allow rollovers because they plan ahead for the first semester when you purchase meal plans. But I think they're doing pretty well right now, and I talked to him. He said that they don't have any significant waste in purchasing food that's not used. And far as the mandatory meal plan, they're doing good right now without a mandatory meal plan. They surpassed their projections last year, and this is without the mandatory meal plans. And with the opening of the USMS halls in the future, it would return the revenue that they have with those that will purchase meal plans that live on campus. So it's looking, with the more information that we receive, that it is not necessary. Even as Mr. Riddle said, it may not be necessary to have a mandatory meal plan. So I think it is our responsibility to continue our efforts to fight against the coercion of students.
40 seconds, Senator Buckley.
What's wrong?
Senator Murad.
I was wondering what the suggestions were that Mr. Riddle made to you.
Basically, there were just recommendations to change the wording of the bill, but I think that's something that the committee should do.
30 seconds, Senator Natiger.
Are you aware that Dining Services has made a commitment to have rollovers include all amount of dining dollars starting next year with the mandatory meal plans?
Mr. Riddle said that they're still looking into that, and they're just looking to make more generous regulations regarding the rollover, but they have not yet decided if it's going to be the full credit.